What's up, Josie? I hear you are back already because I can hear your loud mouse clicks. What's going on?
What's going on? Yeah, I've been busy. I am still busy.
I know you are. We kind of had to, I've been busy too. So, we kind of had to get together and we had to do this podcast. And it's actually the 149th podcast. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, Joseph, it's time to start talking about RC. So I think it's time that we drop that intro. What do you think?
Go ahead.
All right.
Nitro is the glory. Welcome to the No Name RC podcast with your host tonight, Keenan White, aka Lefty the Great, and if you are unlucky, the Finnish village idiot, JQ. This is the RC podcast with no name, but plenty of content. So sit back, relax, and get ready for some serious bench racing.
Yes, indeed. Nitro is the glory, but Ebuggy pays the bills. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 149 of the No Name RC podcast. I had to mute JQ. I had to mute you because your mic was getting loud. I'm your host, Lefty the Great, and to my left over there making noise as usual and not being prepared is Rupert. It's Rupert Pumpernickels. It's Rupert Pumpernickels. Rupert Pumpernickels is back. I forgot that we came up with that name for you about 3 years ago, and it showed up on my Facebook. So one of your many monikers. What's up, Rupert? How are you? Oh Lord, now he's not listening. What did you use?
Multitasking. Nothing.
Yeah, Stop doing what you're doing. Take a little break and let's talk to everybody.
Okay, let's do this quickly. We also have a Mayako members meeting today.
Mm-hmm.
Cameras all messed
up. Look, see what I mean, guys? Guys, this guy's never prepared. Welcome to the story of my life. Hey, JQ, it's time to leave. The bus leaves at 9. He's still packing his bags at 8:50. You know what I mean? Like, this is the story of my life. Anyway, while Joseph gets sorted out, I just want to say, all right, see, now he interrupts me. I want to say shout out and say thank you.
Myself.
Yeah, mute yourself. I want to say shout out and say thank you to all of the supporters of the NNRC, the hashtag NNRC squad. Man, we are coming up on 3 years of doing this podcast, I think in 2 weeks' time. And I can't believe that we're still doing it. So thank you guys for the support, man. It's really great to see. And also, I want to shout out to the patrons of the podcast. One of our patrons had a birthday. It was Jason Sherroyd. I probably said his name wrong. I want to shout out to him. He's up there in Minnesota racing, good friend of mine. Shout out to you, man. Happy belated birthday, because I wrote this about a week ago. Thank you to all the patrons of the podcast. You guys keep the bills paid. We got some special giveaways coming up for you guys at Christmas time. A little bit of giving back to the patrons of the podcast. Also, I like to shout out and say thank you to the awesome sponsors of the podcast. Remember, guys, without the sponsors, we can't do this. So showing the sponsors the love shows the podcast in love. So thank you to Mayako, which we'll talk about in a minute. Beach RC, longtime sponsor of the podcast. TNR Fuels, thank you to Chris Nelson. High Tech RCD, loving my new charger. Tekno RC, Sun City RC Raceway, JQ Scale Motorsports, JQSM. Yeah, I got something to talk to you about that with.
Scale Motorsports. What was that?
I said Scale Motorsports. Jesus. Donovan RC, get your custom charge leads from Donovan RC. I'm really geeking out over mine and I like them. Papa Willie's Traction Tonic. I see he came up with a new blue Traction Tonic. I need to get Scooter on to talk about that. Racecraft USA. I see they have a new tire scuffer. Check them out. We have promo codes for that. RCGP. I'm hoping episode 4 drops here soon. And House of RC. So if you haven't made a House of RC profile, please go over and do that. And I want to shout out to So Dialed Apps. I went and got the paid for the full version here this week, and I'm looking forward to using it when I get my Mayako. So with that said, everybody, if you want to support any of these sponsors or you want to become a patron of the sponsor, the links for everything is in the written description of this podcast. There are coupon codes as well. There's some affiliate links. If you can use those, we would greatly appreciate that. And it's coming to the end of the year. We're always looking for sponsors who align with, if you believe in what we're doing here, what we're doing here at the NNRC, and you want to be a part of that, check us out. We have tiers for advertising for all forms of sponsorship. If you think that your company can benefit from that, please come check us out. Also, shout out to Lugs Racing Tires. I was talking to those guys the other day, Bryce and Nibs. I think they're getting their stock of tires in soon, and I'm happy for them because they're making big moves. I see they are making some 10-scale tires. So once again, shout out to Lugs Racing Tires for their support of the podcast. Everybody, we have a coupon code for them as well. All right. It's been a while since Joseph's been on the podcast, and we took a break last week, which is kind of part of my, it's coming to the end of the year. It's burning out, and I know that silly season's coming, so I'm going to be super active for silly season. We got AMS coming out next week. Actually, Max and I are planning to do full recaps of AMS every day. I don't know if Joseph would be involved. He's kind of busy. So yeah, we took a week off. Joseph had to get settled when he got back home. He isn't settled, as you can see. If you guys seen it back there, my area is also a mess because we're getting some work done. I no longer have to worry about power outages, Joseph, because I have an inverter now. Yeah. And so my studio is a mess. Joseph's studio is a mess, but we're here to bring you content. So anyway, let's bring the man in himself, and let's see what Mr. Pumpernickels has to say today. Rupert. Pay attention. Rupert. Oh, Rupert. Don't ignore me. Accept it.
Okay, let's do this.
So what do you prefer? Josie, Rupert, Captain Asshole, Beaker?
Out of all the names that you have come up with, I would say that Beaker is probably the best.
Well, you do. Did you see? So my buddy Chase sent me that picture. He had a guy, and he goes, "Look, I found JQ," and it was a guy dressed up like Beaker for Halloween, doing trick or treating with his kids. And I was like, "Man, you do look like Beaker, though. I must admit. If you had like a little bit more of an afro on there, like going up, if you cut all your hair on your sides and just let your hair spike up on the top, you look like Beaker. And you definitely meet like him because sometimes you just don't shut up when you go. But anyway, what's up, Beaker, man? You're back home. You've been traveling around. You was in Italy, you was in France, and you was in Germany. Wow. How did it feel to get back and be on the road and traveling around and getting racing, man?
It was actually really nice. I have been looking forward to getting back racing. Right when COVID hit, I was kind of burnt out on everything, really. So it was a good time to take a break. And now with the transition to Mayako and everything that's new and not having raced and not having traveled, it's really nice.
All right. So the last time we had you on her, you had just finished racing in Spain, correct? You went to that race, and then the next race you went to was you went Buggyland. Then you went to Italy, which was like a completely different race altogether, different type of track and all that type of stuff. You linked up with Mao, which is cool because I believe I think Mao's part of Mayako, correct?
Well, we haven't really announced it, but he is kind of. I guess we'll announce it at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
so I have actually, my Finnish company, JQ Design, has actually hired Mao.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as a full-time sort of graphic designer. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but we haven't even announced it anyway yet.
Well, we can't announce it.
We will at some point. Yeah,
well, the official announcement.
I guess we just announced it.
Well, you know us. We always got to spoil the surprise. So, So I want to touch on Italy real quick because it was a pretty competitive race. Ongaro won. It's been a while, so I've forgotten all about it. You did pretty good. you finished 9th or something. Like you battled out with Misha Wittemeyer for like the entire main. It looked like
half of it, yeah, probably. I don't know. I lost that thing for the mouse the USB you plug into the computer so the mouse works. I switched to a silent mouse. And now I lost that thing that you plug in.
See what I mean?
And all I needed to do was move it from one laptop to the other, and somehow I lost it on the way.
We gotta get the Ghani on her to sing the JQ song. JQ needs a USB.
Honestly, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I can believe it because it's a story of your life. Anyway, just let's focus. We gotta talk about Italy and your performance there, and Mao testing the car. Look at him, Jesus.
Okay.
You're all nervous to be back on the podcast.
No.
All right. Let's talk about Italy real quick. So Mao raced the car, the other car that you had, which I'm pretty sure was all beat to hell because I've seen your rental rides. Remember the first rental ride you got? I'll never forget when you bought that rental ride to me the first time here. And I was like, I'm going to race this thing? I was like, this thing's like all beat up, but it worked. You know what I mean? So that got me into, yeah. So Mao got to test the new buggy and you did pretty good with it. It finished both its races. Mao was bumped up to the final, which is good. So that's pretty good. That's pretty positive. Let's talk about that. What's going on with Mayako? Because, man, let's be honest. I got in a big argument this morning, maybe before we recorded this. So let's let the world know what's going on with Mayako because I'm just getting kind of tired of hearing all the hate.
Yeah, so I can't even remember the timeline myself anymore. But when was this announced first?
Like last year? No, earlier this year, I think.
Year?
Yeah, in the last year. Around, yeah.
Let's actually check to make sure. Now I don't have a mouse on this laptop. Great.
Well, go back to your loud mouse, dude.
Anyway, Mayako was announced. And then the idea was that we are making a new buggy. New 8-scale Nitro buggy. It's called Mayako. I'm the designer. I stopped with my own car brand, JQ Racing, and now instead I'm working as a designer for Mayako. So similar kind of setup like Kanai. Kanai isn't Kyosho. He works for another company, a design company that designs the car for Kyosho, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the idea. It looks like we started selling the Mayako in March. So we must have announced it earlier then, maybe at the beginning of the year or something like that.
Yeah.
And the idea was, I think originally that the car would be released in May or June, something like that. But I don't think that was ever made public. That was just for the members that we had.
Right.
Anyway, the people involved in this who transferred over from the 100, you remember that program where
and the JQ Racing guys that transferred over.
In that sort of inner circle of JQ Racing people who joined Mayako, they all knew about this project. And we all knew that, okay, so early summer we'll have the car. That was the original plan. Then when we went to make it public, so, okay, now we'll allow new people in on the secret kind of. Now they can become members too. We announced that the car would be shipped in August. And then August came and went and it wasn't shipped. So then we said, okay, now the new date is October. And now October came and went and now it's mid-November when it's going to ship. So these delays are of course not ideal, but we haven't released any information to the outside because the whole idea was that this first year we are building up Mayako as a brand. Mm-hmm. And we are doing it among our members. So everything is internal. I'm actually positively surprised that there haven't been any leaked pictures of the car. So when I've been at tracks, and we've been to various tracks now over the last year, anyone who wants to see the car can see the car. It's not secret at the track. it's just secret online. So we don't have pictures online. And I'm surprised that it's held this well. I'm really happy about that. No members have posted anything or leaked anything, but so I'm really happy about that. But in the Discord channel for Mayako, we share pictures and all information and talk about stuff and doing the manual and setup sheet and all kinds of things like this. And also some of the features on the car are actually ideas that members have come with. So it's not, I didn't think of it. Someone just saw all the pictures and thought like, hey, what if we did this? And then I modified the design and we made it. So already now, before anyone has received the car, there are ideas on there from members. So this is what we've been doing. But if you look at it from the outside, then it looks like nothing has actually happened, because you saw an announcement and then everything went dead. There's no posts on Facebook, no posts on Instagram, and nothing. And that's because it's only for the members this year. That's the whole point. So we aren't worried about promoting to the outside world because it's not that time. That's for next year. We made the initial push and promotion for Mayako to get the people who are sort of the early adopters, the people who understand the project, want to be a part of it. That's who we want. We don't want to convince anyone to be a part of it. If you get it immediately, you're in. If not, that's fine. You can wait for next year. That was the idea. So we have about 150. I think like 120, 130 members, but about 150 cars sold or something like that. There were only a limited amount, 200 that we decided that we would make as prototypes. So limited amount, and that's it. So there are still a few cars available for people to buy. Probably they will all just go when the car ships. That's my expectation. Yeah. And then they will be sold out until the production version early next year.
And there's a few people that have joined recently too, I believe.
Yeah. There are still some people who have joined more recently. I don't know really like why or how. Maybe they know someone who is a member already, or maybe they've just, heard something on the podcast or seen the car at some race I've been at, Buggyland or something like that. Because we haven't been promoting the brand really at all. And of all of those people, we have had 4 people bail. So there was a earlier when people wanted to leave, then they got completely fully refunded everything. So membership, car, everything just refunded and done. But then we got to a point where we were making, personal items for people, laser engraving and some other gifts and things that people get. So we said, this actually, I think we mentioned this in our meeting, like now is the time. Like if you want to go, then go now, leave now. But after this, there's no more refunds because we are producing the stuff for you now. And then since then, a couple of people have wanted to leave and then they haven't. And then one guy was causing some trouble. So we just refunded his stuff and took the hit on that. But the membership thing is one where there are actually no refunds. We refunded the memberships early on because we could. But you have to think of it this way. With the membership, you are actually getting a discount on the car and parts. So if you become a member and buy a car, receive the car, and then cancel your membership, you just got a really cheap car, right? So there's no way to be able to offer a refund on membership.
Right.
That's just how it is. So that's the reason for no refunds on memberships. So I just saw some people were writing about that online, but
on RC
there's
Tech,
no shady business or anything going on. So the reasons for the delays from June until now, basically, is just simply COVID, and it's affecting every industry. So just as an example, so let's say that you want to produce some gears, okay? So you send the gear drawings to the vendor, and then normally the vendor would just take the material and prepare it and start producing when the next free slot for machining something is open, right? But now there's a shortage of material. So now the situation is, okay, we need this material. Well, we're out, everyone's out. We have to wait 45 days, let's say. Okay, so you just wasted 45 days waiting for material. Right. Then because this is an ongoing issue, then when they have the material, there's still a line of stuff that needs to be produced. Okay, then it's your turn. Then you get the stuff produced. Okay, after that, you still need to treat it's not just one vendor that machine stuff. Parts also need heat treatment, or they need some hard coating or anodizing or something like that, right? So then that's another company does that. So then again, okay, so you ship it over there, and then they also have a line to do that. Or maybe they, because of how they work over there, sometimes always like the bigger companies, the bigger quantities get the priority. Right. So maybe you have to wait a bit. Okay, then there's someone who wants exactly what you want. Okay, let's just do it together here, blah, blah, blah. So again, you wasted a lot of time waiting for that. So just like one part out of the 200 parts on the car can cause, from normal, maybe like a 3-month delay. You know, from non-COVID normal times. Yes. Wait already takes 3 months to make something. Now it takes 6 months. You know, so I am very thankful that I don't have to be dealing with this. I am not the one getting this done. I just design the parts, send them over, and that's it. But yeah, it's frustrating for everyone, not just the members. I don't even know why people who aren't members care that much, but they seem to do. But the thing is that the parts are done. They are being packed now. I've rechecked every single bag that needs to be packed to assemble the car. I've rechecked, you know, this sort of list of each item, every screw, every shim for every bag. Everything's confirmed. Everything is being packed as we speak. And yeah, it seems that middle of this month, the week that starts the 15th of November, that's the goal right now. The end of that week, cars should start shipping out to the customers.
Yeah, and just so people know, these aren't coming on a boat, right? They're being shipped. They're going to be shipped
by air. So we expect the members to have their cars before the end of November. That's the goal right now, and it seems completely realistic.
Well, I just wanted to touch on some things because I think people think you're just making an excuse about COVID, right? So I just want to say how it's been affecting other probably genres of RC. So like my RC boat that I recently bought. So I'm waiting for something for it, right? A replacement for it. And the guy just can't say when he's going to have it because his stuff's on a boat out in the Pacific somewhere waiting to come into port. You know what I mean? And I just think people don't understand that part of things. And there's also, like you was telling me, that the factories are having 3-day power outages and all that type of stuff as well.
Yeah,
so
that too.
So that all affects. And then I heard people, well, we pre-ordered and we had to wait a year. Let me just say something. And people's probably gonna say, oh, Lefty, you're just defending JQ. But I'm gonna give you an example of how in another industry that is bigger than what we are doing in RC, does pre-orders and then people have to wait over a year to get it. So in the action figure world or toy world, which I'm very into, like different companies put out, okay, so here's the pre-order for this figure and here this, and people just pre-order these figures and all this type of stuff, and then they wait a year and a half for things to come. So Hasbro, who's one of the biggest toy companies in the world, they do this thing called HasLab. So for instance, this year they're making a big giant, they make one-off projects that they know they can't just make in the factory and sell. So like if they want to make like a big scale, like for instance, they want to make a big Galactus, which is a Marvel figure. It's really big, it's tall, it's something that you can't really make and make a profit off normally. So people, enthusiasts like myself, want that type of stuff. So what they do is it's called the HasLab projects. And basically what you do is you pay for that right off the bat. You pre-order it. And then what they do is they have different stages. So if they get this amount of orders in, it goes to a different stage, and then you get extra stuff with it and stuff like that. And guess what? These people wait over a year to get this stuff. You know what I mean? They just pre-order it, forget about it, and go about it. No, I get it. RC is a little different. People use the cars. Most people in the toy situation, they pose them, they put them, and they have them in their collection. I get that. It's a little different. So I just want people to understand that this isn't unique, and this isn't unique to RC. It's just new and different. And yeah, I was like, and people like, they want to see public pictures. Yeah, there you go, Joseph. Does Mugen release public? We all know that a new Mugen. I'm hearing the rumors that a new Mugen car is coming. I'm hearing the new rumors that a new TLR car is coming. The Infinity car has been coming for what, 4 years now. Nobody's seen. Do you see pictures of these cars? No, you don't, because these companies have to keep their things close to their chest and keep them hidden from people. One, they don't want people copying, and two, yeah. It's just, the inner circle kind of knows that. But with Mayako, you actually are letting because I'm in the Discord now and I see the interactions that's going on. You're letting people see the whole process. So for those people who are out on the outside being haters, just let them hate, man. The thing is, the car needs to get in hands and start racing. And I can't wait to get mine. So, yeah, man, I'm just kind of fed up with all the hate and, yeah, just getting tired of people just talking shit, and I mean, we talk a lot of shit too, but like people that have no vested interest in what you're doing, talking shit about you just to talk shit. But that's just anything to do with you. So that's just what you've kind of earned in your time in RC or in life. I just get frustrated. But enough about that. The car is coming. People are excited. I'm excited to see what you've come up with. I want to see how this car is. I'm excited because I haven't had really nothing new to build in a long time. So, yeah. I can't wait to get this in my hands. And hopefully we'll be doing some racing here in January, February. So, sounds good. All right, Josie. Let's just real quick touch on the last couple of weeks of your tour. I really want to, what did you learn in Italy? So we did learn that Barufalo was testing a Tekno there, and he's now officially going to Reds. So it looks like Barufalo is going to Tekno.
Barufalo was running a Tekno and Reds after the race, and then Berton was also there. He was running the Infinity prototype. Mm-hmm. And the Infinity prototype is still, I mean, it sort of was based on the HB, so there's some HB type stuff on there, but they have that old chrono front end with a bit of their own twist to it. So it's a pillow ball, but the way it's assembled is a bit different. You can adjust the knuckle height in the sort of front end instead of it being solid plastic like on the Mugen.
Right.
So, yeah, I believe they started molding stuff. So I'm sure they are facing the same kind of issues that we have faced with Mayako, with everything taking longer than expected. So I really don't know when we will see an Infinity car. If we will even see it next year, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like the Worlds in September next year, I'm sure that would be a goal for them. It would make sense. But yeah, I don't know if they'll have it or not. But Berton was super, super fast with it.
Really?
Yeah. And also, I do believe that he tried additives, but I think he actually he TQ'd. And I think he did his best runs just running hot race without additive. Mm-hmm. I'm relatively sure. I mean, I was pitting opposite him, so that's why I say that.
Pretty Ricky Berton.
Yeah, he was really fast. And then also, so me and Mao, we ran the Mayako car. And one thing that I have been sort of doubting or questioning a bit with the new car was back in the day when I was developing the Black Edition, and actually when I was developing the White Edition also before that, I had a Kyosho And because the Kyosho MP9 back then was arguably the best car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 2010 onwards. And it was the best car because it was so easy to drive. You just put it down and it just felt right. And you felt comfortable. You had steering, you had corner speed enough, like you felt good. But the thing was that it was a bit slow if you just drove around the track. You had to drive aggressively around the track. So you had to go fast to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I get
Where
what you mean.
the JQ was like, you could go fast by just driving calm and slow in a way. Like you stay calm, keep your lines, maintain your quarter speed, you'll be fast. Now, if you do that with the Kyosho, then you would be slow. So you had to push. So there was all this balance. Like I wanted to achieve something where you can be fast, like with the JQ, by driving sort of calm, but it was easier. It was easy like the Kyosho. So easy and fast. How to do that, right? That's my goal. And ever since then. And one thing that I was worried about was that what if the Mayako now is too easy? So, because I haven't been driving that much, I'm sort of half a second to 1 second off the best laps, usually. More often, 1 second off. So when I am 1 second off the best lap in Italy, what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, is it because I am slow or is the car slow? And then maybe I try to push it, like, what if, can I go faster? No, not really. Like, I sort of find my limit, but the car feels so good, right? But then I'm doubting that, is the car fast enough though? Or is it too easy? So this was something I doubted in Spain a bit, and also in Italy. So then after the race, we got this unidentified, no-name Italian driver to drive the Mayako. And he's fast enough to match the best times of the best drivers. So it was really interesting to see what would happen. And lo and behold, he went faster than me, I think, on his first fuel tank, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least, I believe so. I believe so, yeah. First fuel tank. Second, definitely. And then we already started doing, very quickly, we started doing 5-minute times. The only adjustments we made was we raised the rear arm 0.5 mil to give the rear end a bit more support. And then we did move the engine back also, which I found interesting. He preferred the engine back. And he posted a 5-minute time that was faster than the fastest in the race.
Of his time?
Of anyone in the race.
Oh, really?
11 laps, 11 laps 5:26. And this guy did 11 laps 5:25. And then he did another one, 11 laps 5:28. And in the race, his best was 10 laps 5:03. So that already was really good, because not only was it easy enough for him to drive that he could be consistent, but he was also fast. So that then I was sort of sure that, okay, the car clearly is capable, because another guy picked it up and just drove it for a few tanks, made a few changes, and then he's on the pace with the best. Berton was there also, and he was a bit faster. He did, best laps were like, I think 28.6. He was driving like 28.6, 28.8, 28.7, 28.9, 29.0. He was driving at his best like that. And this guy did a 28.8 as his best lap, but was driving like 29.0, 29.1, 29.0, 29.1, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I was happy with that. So that proved that to me that, yes, the car is easy, but it's also capable. It's fast enough.
Sweet, man. Sweet.
Yeah.
Before we go on to the next leg. Oh, but no, hold on. So what about the actual race that you went to? Because this was a race of some very fast Italian guys. Boots was there. This is Boots' home track, right? Obviously, it's the Reds track. Man, it seems like Boots is struggling against those Italians, man. Them Italians are fast, man.
Yeah, they are. So, I mean, he was blaming tires, but I think that's kind of his go-to excuse. I don't really know. His car looked really good. Somehow, always when I watch Boots, he just looks really good, I think, on the track. Just how his car works and he's driving, like, I don't know. Because, yeah, I don't know. He was just a bit off.
How
But
old
the
is
thing
Boots
is
now?
that I don't know, but the thing is that he works at Reds now, which is right by the track. There's no excuse really. Like, it's at that point, it's only a question of either sort of dedication / motivation and also practicing and testing smart. Like, he has no excuse right now. He has everything. He works for an engine manufacturer. There's a track next door. This race was at that track. I mean, really, what can you say? Like,
this
he
is your
should
first time seeing
win
Boots
that
in a
race.
while, isn't it? In person.
Yeah, since my
Since the
Facebook
incident.
Live, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you guys
I don't have a problem. I don't think he has a problem. I mean, we spoke.
just I don't think he has. Did he speak to you?
Yeah, we spoke.
Okay.
I mean, he was there also on Monday.
Yeah. I like Elliot though. Best her in RC, I think. But those Italians just fast, man. Ongaro, Baru, who else? Polito and Bertone and even Zankatine was really good that weekend. You know what I mean? So
and Valente, my nemesis.
Yeah. I hope they all. I hope
third.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's been a long. I can't even find the results. So, it's been a while. But I hope they come to DNC. That's all I hope they do. So, I want to see them race more.
I think a bunch of Europeans will be there.
I think this is going to be the most stacked DNC full of Europeans you've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see. You're going to see what if I'll say. I'm gonna say this. The A main at DNC is probably going to be the A main at the Worlds in September. Maybe give and take a few people.
Probably going to be close.
Yep, very close. And then after Italy, you went to Germany. Oh, no, you went to France. You did a one-day race there. You got to meet the French guys and meet Felix for the first time. And then you went to Germany afterwards, hung out with the Killich, which I really like the Killich brothers. I'm getting to know Burkan. I gotta interview Burrock as well. But people really enjoyed Burkan's interview.
Yeah, I didn't hear it, but I didn't really go to Germany. It's just when you drive from Italy to Finland, you have to sort of pass through Germany. So I just stopped at their house and we went to have some Turkish dinner, and then I went to the ferry. I
really hope that they come to DNC as well, to be honest. I think the world
it would be interesting to see what they can do there.
Man, the world needs to be properly introduced to the brothers Killick. Yeah. So I gotta get Burak's number and talk to him and get him on her, because I was really shocked that Burkan is like, yeah, man, I don't care about setup. I just drive. And I was like, well,
his dad does the setup. Yeah. But
I'm like, well, maybe that's why he can.
Maybe
that's why he can be so good at it. He isn't taking it so seriously. He definitely does not look or act like a 15-year-old. That's for sure. That is for sure. Yeah. All right, Joseph. I think we should go on to some RC news. And this week's RC news is brought to you by TNR Fuels. Here at the NNRC, we are all about the glory. And that glory is Nitro. TNR Fuels is the hottest fuel on the market right now. Owned and operated by a good friend of mine, Chris Nelson, and his family. Made by racers for racers. TNR Fuel is currently available throughout the USA. For more information to contact the company or purchase some fuel, visit them at www.tnrfuels.com or contact Chris Nelson directly at chris@tnrfuels, or you can go on House of RC and find them, or Facebook. Also, the RC news is brought to you by High Tech RCD. We want to say thank you to High Tech RCD for their support. It looks like the team they're taking serious racing. I'm seeing more guys running their servers and their equipment. But High Tech RCD is a leader in RC systems, delivering the highest performance and reliability, supported by a dedicated customer service personnel. The HSB 938 1TH servers have efficient brushless motors, titanium gears, low consumption, constant output in a metal case. The RDX2 charger can charge 2 4-cell packs or 6-cell packs simultaneously, and you can monitor them with the Bluetooth dongle. Trust in high-tech, your servo and charger headquarters. Visit High-Tech RCD, where to buy for your newest retailer. Also, the RC News is brought to you by Lugs Racing Tires. They have over 55 combined years of experience in RC. They have been testing treads, wheels, and rubber for performance. You can try out the Lugs Econ tires that were developed with racing budgets in mind. High quality but lower cost means savings can be passed on to you, the racer. Lugs Racing Tires provides the premium Lugs premium line provides pure performance made using Lugs custom and proprietary rubber compound and their custom molds. So, you know, they're getting serious about racing. Tires are available medium, soft, super soft, mega soft, and now long wear. Visit www.lugsracing.com and you can save a percentage by using the promo code NNRC Lugs in all caps. And Lugs is another company that's kind of having the COVID bubble and they're waiting for their product to come on. It's out there on a boat. So I know a lot of people were saying, well, we can't get tires and stuff like that. Well, that's because of COVID too. So check out lugsracing.com and thank you for their support as well. All right, Joseph, RC News. I just want to go over real quick because we had what I think is becoming one of the best 10-scale races in America, and that is Beach RC's Masters of Dirt Racing. They had this about 2 weeks ago at Beach RC. It's man, I haven't heard anybody that goes to this race come out saying they didn't have a good time. It's all about having fun. It's all about being different, and this race is getting more and more popular by the year. They crown a overall Masters of Dirt, and they crown a stock Champions of Dirt. Now, I believe that Dakota Fenn won the mod version of this because they have to run 3 classes. Any 3 classes they have to run. No, man. I think Fenn won it because you have to run 3 classes, I believe. I could be wrong. Let me bring it up. I've been known to be wrong. So I'll bring it up. But yeah, so how it works is they have like you have to run 3 classes. So you have to run, I think you have to run like 4-wheel drive and 2-wheel drive, and then you can run like short course or stadium. And I really was supposed to get Brent on her to talk about it, but he got kind of busy. I'm busy, and we just didn't get on her. But this is one of the 10-scale races that I really want to go to because, man, they have fun. They had a step-up competition where you have to jump and jump over. They have like a last man standing race. The emphasis is on fun and people just enjoying themselves, man. And I tell you, I'm so pumped for Brent and those guys because this race is getting bigger and bigger every year. And I think this is going to turn into being one of the premier 10-scale races that we have in the industry. So I want to say kudos to him and the Beach RC crew for pulling it off. Let me see if I can bring up some more results. Well, the results are for 2-wheel drive were, hold on. No, that's a different race. So 4-wheel drive was Dakota Fenn, Dustin Evans, Aiden Horn, Tyler Jones, Aaron Kaufman. Cavallari was in 9th overall for that, Joseph. And in mod, it was Dustin Evans, Dakota Fenn, Ryan Cavallari, Spencer Rifkin, Aiden Horn. This race was pretty stacked with top guys. And yeah, let's see. Stadium truck, Spencer Rifkin, Aiden Horn, Dakota Fenn. I think Fenn won this, Joseph. I think Fenn won this. He won the overall.
Okay.
Overall.
It's 10 scale, so less time to fend yourself.
Hey. Fenn won Southern Nats. You can't say he fends himself. He won Southern Nats. He finished the race. Speaking of Southern Nats.
Southern Nats?
Yeah.
Who was there?
Everybody.
Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. See, when you was busy traveling, I think you missed it all. So
yeah.
So congratulations to those guys. Probably I'm gonna get Brent on her to talk about this some more in the next couple of podcasts. But it kind of happened a couple of weeks ago. But I found myself watching this. The only thing I can say that it didn't have much coverage. I know he wanted to get Matt Olson to come in and cover this, but they J Concepts had a race up in Minnesota the same weekend of this race, like Mayfield and Cole Tollard and all them guys were there. So we really didn't get the coverage that we wanted of this race, which is a shame because I think this race deserves it. And hopefully next year Brent gets that. But the people that went, everybody seems to enjoy themselves, and that's at the end of the day what seems to mean something. And speaking of that J Concepts race, let me mute this guy because it's making too much noise. The J Concepts race was held in Minnesota. It was a carpet race, turf race, sorry. And it looks like we had Cole Tollard winning two-wheel drive buggy. Hold on, let's see. All right, so here are your results. In modified buggy, it was Cole Tollard, Ryan Mayfield, and Lee Setzer. Oh, get this. In expert two-wheel drive buggy, I guess that's mod, I guess? Or, I guess? Okay, so it's not stock. I don't know what expert two-wheel drive buggy is. You had Davey Bata, Borna Crime, and Kyle Holmberg. Yeah. Why is Borna Crime running expert 17 pump? What? You know what, Joseph? When we get to California, we're gonna have to have an intervention for Borna Crime.
Honestly, I think violence is the only language that will help.
Actually, he sent me a picture the other day of a mod motor. See, a running mod. I said, "What about Nitro?" We'll see. But yeah, he went up there, and this kid Davey Bata is really good, man. He's killing it in stock, and I can't wait to see what he does when he jumps up to the mod races as well. In four-wheel drive, you had Ryan Mayfield, Lee Setzer, and Cole Tollard. I just want to talk about Lee Setzer and Cole Tollard real quick. Cole Tollard has had a really good year. He is an exceptionally really great driver and really good guy to talk to and all that type of stuff. I look forward to seeing this guy racing in 2022. And I got to give shout outs to Lee Setzer too, because he stepped up his game a lot. I remember Lee was predominantly a 10-scale driver. And when I was talking to him at the Nationals, he's like, yeah, I want to focus on Nitro. You know, I see that it's important. And he's definitely gotten better in Nitro. And I think he has a really bright future ahead of him and Cole. And as for Mayfield, he won four-wheel drive. And I wonder, like, I have to ask yourself, do you think we're going to see Mayfield run in 10-scale next year? It just seems like he's not been as serious about it this year.
I don't know why he's less serious about it. Something with the Yokomo deal, maybe.
Yeah.
But let's say if Yokomo went away for next year, it would be interesting to see.
Well,
I get the feeling that the electric side has kind of brought him more money, because not only did Yokomo apparently pay him more, at least back in the day, but also the bonuses that they have in America. So when you win races, you get paid. Well, all of those electric races have multiple classes. Well, now these days, typically 8-scale also. There's Truggy and Ebuggy and Nitro buggy. So I don't know. It's anyway, it's a big chunk of his income if he doesn't run 10-scale. So I'm curious to see, yes, what he would do. I would argue that he probably would prefer to just run one. Like if he could choose, if someone gave him $1 billion and said, just race what you like, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't race everything he's racing now. Right? I think he would want to focus on something and just try and dominate that and win, you know?
Right. Well, Tebow, I don't think we're going to see Tebow doing 10 scale anymore. I think he's quite happy just racing 8 scale and he's more focused on that. And honestly, what do these guys have to prove in 10 scale anymore? They've won. Cavallari, Tebow, and Cavallari, Mayfield, and Tebow have won everything in 10 scale. Everything. They've won really races. Yeah. They've won nationals. They've won world championships. They don't have anything else they need to win anymore. Now, what I do see Cavallari is, but I think that's through TLR. He's doing a lot more 10 scale racing, but I think that's needed. You know what I mean? Because in the position that he's in. But I don't think we're gonna see. I like anybody who isn't getting paid. You're not gonna take what if you're not getting the money that you got for it before. You're not gonna take it as serious as possible. If you just ride on your contract. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, do we need to see these guys running 10 scale anymore if they don't want to do it, or what? Like, or should they just focus on 10 scale? I mean, 8 scale. It'd be interesting to see. I just don't know if we'll see how it works out for him. I think Mayfield just likes 8 scale the most. Like, you know what I mean? And that's what he prefers. I think all these guys prefer 8 scale the most, and that's why Nitro is the glory, man. And all that good stuff. But there was some drama attached to this race. There was definitely some drama attached to this race, and I think we're going to talk about it in the Don and Quiet segment, because this is something that I've seen breeding bad habits. Next up was the Blue Ridge Nationals. Because you haven't seen this, Joseph, so I want you to see the track, because I actually think this is probably now this race here has definitely evolved over the years. It started a couple of years ago, and it's had some ups and downs. I'm not going to say it's been perfect, but I have to say this, man, and I have to give them credit. This is the best layout that I've seen in a long time, Joseph. And I want you to watch a lap, and you guys can watch a lap of this too. And let me know, because I thought that this layout was really good, and let me know what you think. Oh, hold on. Let me go a little bit. Just watch the layout for a second, Joseph. Oh. This coming up on my favorite part of the track right here. This jump on, jump off section. Oh, I love that so much. This is a big track too.
6 minutes to go. Trying a chat battle here down the straightaway. Drag racing there. Rupert going to get by.
All right. We'll enough of that. We will hold on, let me stop this. So I have to give Anthony done the layout for this. So congratulations to Anthony. Factory tracks, man. I think we're watching like Anthony just go to a whole different level of his track building. But I have to give some credit to Josh Garbett and the guys from Scale Racing Sports. I think it's called Scale Racing Sports. Can't remember. This is their best layout they've had. This race is starting to grow. It doesn't get the big names that the other races get, but that's only a matter of time. But I have to give some credit. This guy put in live RC, Joseph. And honestly, I'm super excited for AMS coming up next week, because the cameras and just the different things that they were doing at this race, I think live RC is going to got some new cameras, and they had different camera setup. And I have to say that, honest to God in heaven, that the coverage, even though it wasn't like a big pro race, was exceptional. Like it was clear. It was, you could see, like you can actually see the cars and all that type of stuff. So I'm excited for AMS and the coverage that we're going to get. So I just want to say congratulations. Also, I want to shout out and say congratulations to Brian Cotta. He won Nitro Buggy and Ebuggy, and it was really cool. My buddy Toby Henson shared a picture, and he went up because it's two brothers that race. They actually came to not DNC. They came to RCGP, and I met them there. And man, you just see the guys go up and give each other a big hug and just be so happy to win this race. And you know what, man? At the end of the day, that's what this is all about, man. Doing things like this with like your close ones or your friends and having fun doing it. So kudos to everybody that went out and raced at the Blue Ridge Nats. It looked like a great race. I'm glad to see that it's kind of getting more organized and it's getting better, getting, and it's good to see. So yeah, good stuff. All right, Joseph, can we talk about the concept car from Agama, because they dropped their video? Did you see that this week?
Yeah, we can.
So should we play the
Actually,
video, for
was
people?
good. Yeah, let's play it. It's good.
All right, I have it here actually. So let's hold on. I should mute that. All right, so here's the video from Nemo that they shared this week. We're not going to watch the whole video, right, Joseph? We're just going to watch some of it. Hold
Show
on.
a bit. I can't see anything.
Yeah, hold on. I'm looking for it. It's here, but hold on. I have to bring it over here. So they released their concept car with John. I really would like to get Hazelwood on the podcast to talk to him about this type of stuff. I've been trying to get him for a while. I haven't spoken to him for a minute, but I really want to hear his story. Why can't I bring this up? Hold on. Something's not right here. But let's bring up the video here real quick, and we can have a look at what they're doing, because man, people are freaking out over this car, and rightfully so, because we haven't really seen anything different in RC for a while. So I get it why people are excited. Trust me, if it works, I'm excited too. Where is this? Oh man, I've lost it all. Here we go. All right, so we want to bring this over here. It's not working for me here. Hold on, let me just bring it up on this. So anyway, Joseph, why don't you give us your thoughts on this while I bring up the video of it, please?
Yeah, so they have the inboard shocks or lay down shocks. What do you call it? Cantilever.
Yeah, but it's not.
Shocks.
It's a little different. But yeah, I get
They
it.
don't. Yeah, they don't attach the shock to the arm. They have a part that attaches to the arm, 90-degree angle to the arm, and then the shock attaches to that. So the shocks are horizontally laying on top of the gearboxes, front and rear. And I think it's really good that someone is doing something different. I was happy to see that. So all cars are not the same. I also want to do something different and start developing the car in new directions, but it wasn't possible for this first car. The first car had to be sort of familiar and safe, yet new. So, which is a challenge to do, but I think it works. When people see it, they'll see that it is in fact new, and there is some innovation in there and really cool features. But this one is a car where you just look at the Agama and you see like, wow, it's all new. Well, I mean, there's nothing that on the car that I can see that hasn't been done before. But right now in this time, it's not something that exists out there. So yeah, I'm happy to see it, but I am very curious to see if they can get it to work, because I'm quite skeptical. The reason is that we have very basic shocks and they work in a certain range of piston speed. So there's like a difference between high and low speed damping. And when I say speed, I mean the speed that the piston moves. So when you are driving in a corner and the car just rolls, or when you slow down and the car dives onto the nose, those movements are low speed. The piston is moving slowly inside the shock, right? That's low speed damping. Then high speed damping is when you land a jump, or you're driving fast into a bump and the suspension has to deflect very quickly a long distance. That's high speed. So because our shocks are so basic, it's just a piston in a cylinder with oil passing through the piston, we are limited to what we can do, because we are not able to precisely adjust the difference between high and low speed damping, right? We have to rely on the geometry to do that. That's why all the cars are very similar when it comes to the shock positions, because the geometry of the car makes it so that the high speed versus low speed damping works for our shocks. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the cars have developed in the way they have because that's how our basic shocks are limiting us. So if you now take that shock and you move it out of that comfort zone, Now you are making a very short shock, and you are slowing down the piston speed a lot. You are moving it out of that window. So I am curious to see if they can make this work on all tracks where it will, for example, feel comfortable to drive around corners. It will respond comfortably, but then when you hit faster bumps or you land jumps, the suspension is also good. I have a feeling that they will have a problem where, okay, now the car is good in this section, now it sucks in that one. You know, so they can't get the full range of function that you need from your suspension. That's what I think will be their problem. And that was, for example, Tekno's problem. Remember when they made the car that had really long shocks and they were super far out on the arm? Yeah, in theory, I understand that it could be really good. Like, okay, let's do this. But with our basic shocks, you can't. The problem with that car was they weren't able to find that balance where on a loose, smooth track, they could make the suspension just right, just, soft and plush and good, and then have the right amount of pack also when you land a jump or hit a faster bump. Like, it was out of sync. The range wasn't right for the way our shocks work. And this is now an opposite direction, so very short shocks and low piston speed. So yeah, I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm just saying that I can see the issues they will have. And
they're committed to
solve.
They're saying they're going to test it out some more, and if it works, they're going to put it into production. So I mean, yeah, let's see where it goes. Like, I just, it like you say, and I even Max says it. It's not good enough just to innovate for innovation's sake. It has to actually prove itself on the track. You know what I mean?
That's the whole thing, and that's why when you look at the Mayako, you just see like, oh, it's a Kyosho or HB or a JQ or something. Like, it looks so familiar. Well, that was one of the requirements actually. So the new Mayako had to be something safe that is guaranteed to work for everyone on any track with minimal changes. Basic setup, just it works. And I have to know that it works, right? That's why it looks that way. I know it's going to be really good. And there are then details of innovation, like no droop tabs on the front. You adjust it on the C-hub instead, or you can adjust the diff height front and rear. These kind of things that don't exist on any other car exist on this one, And then, of course, the best features of cars that already exist too. So it's combining all of that and then combining it with a geometry that is good, very adjustable, but the adjustment window is correct. So you can't really take it and adjust it so badly that it sucks,
Right.
And that's very hard to do. But now it is kind of that way that you really have to try hard to make it very bad, that everything is sort of in the middle on a basic setup, and then you can go either way a bit and adjust it to your liking. And now the next step is then to try and find that next curve. Like, we have taken this now as far as we can go almost. What's the next thing we can do? Like in touring cars, they had taken the touring car as far as they could. And then Oleg from Russia came up with his automatics, right? Carbon fiber arms, these no conventional dampers, shock absorbers. They are these unique things it just looks like a small cylinder low down on the arm, right? With an internal spring system. So it's not, it was completely different. Linkages and carbon fiber plates as arms and links, that was the suspension. And then these special shocks he has, and the center of gravity was so low, it just changed the game. All the others then, now X-Ray started doing similar things, and other brands are also taking what he has done and making their own sort of adaptations. So that's what we are looking to do in 8 Scale Next, I think, where someone figures out the next thing I don't think that it's going to be what Nemo did, but I think it's very good that they did something different.
I would have to agree with you there. Also, hello, can you hear me? Also, something I wanted to. Did you see, just because you brought up touring car and innovation and all that stuff? Did you watch the video that the doctor put out, Alex Hagberg? He took a 20-year-old car, right? Put like modern day electronics in it and stuff. He used the same body shell and everything.
No, he didn't. He used different bodies. I wish he had used the same body.
He didn't. I think he used the same body.
No, it was a good video. Yeah, I saw it. It was interesting to see.
And he said he was shocked how good it was compared to
what was the difference then? Half a second or something?
Yeah, half a second.
Yeah, sounds about right.
You should do that for off-road, dude.
Yeah, could be interesting. I have a Kyosho MP6. I mean, that's 20 years old.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think an off-road there'd be I don't know, man. Like with this, I don't know. Like I think the off-road riggers.
Honestly, I think the biggest thing in off-road is that now we have so much more grip and power that the durability is that would be the biggest difference, really. The durability.
Right, the durability of the car. That's what I was thinking as well.
I think that some of the cars you can take, and I think you can match the lap time. For example, the Chrono RSO 3. What was it? RSO 1. RSO 1 or RSO 3. It was 2003, or even, you know what? The Thunder Tiger also, EB4. I bet you anything, you could take those cars and you could match the best laps. You could. Because those cars, even back then, were super fast. But even then, they weren't the strongest. I mean, Thibaut went to the Worlds in Uruguay with Thunder Tiger and qualified like 198 because he broke every round. So imagine now with the bigger jumps, high-speed tracks, more traction. You know, the cars wouldn't be good because of that.
Right.
But if you just need to do a fast lap, I think you could.
Yeah, and in touring car, you don't, it's a lot less risk. You know what I mean? No jumps, stuff like that. Obviously you can smack a pipe or wall, but yeah, I don't know. All right, next up, Kyle McBride out at Tekno. This was a shock.
Honestly, I don't know what McBride is doing.
I don't know either. So I've heard rumors of SCRC. I've heard rumors that is trying a Mugen. He's been seen testing a Mugen. So I'm racking my brain, trying to think what would be the logical move for Kyle in this situation, or what company would do that. And the only companies that I can think of that would do this or have the money to pay him with this is SCRC. So for some reason, WRC keeps popping in my mind too, because they have they have some WRC guys there. But this Mugen thing might kind of make sense too, because Mugen kind of doesn't have anybody in the Asia area type of thing anymore. I mean, they have, I don't know, I don't know what happens if Kyle McBride. I asked him what happened. He asked him what's going on. He didn't tell. He said he can't tell me, but he just said that this opportunity will allow him to travel more, which we all want Kyle McBride to travel more, because this guy is exceptionally fast on internationally. But we can't go over we can't hide the fact that he actually, the young kid Alex Bernardzak has had his number in in Australia for the last year and a bit, so I don't know what's going on. I haven't really heard what happened with Kyle and Tekno, but I hope Kyle McBride isn't on his way out of RC, because the guy's really talented and I want to see him race more. But when you start chopping and changing like this, man, it's not good. You know what I mean? Hello?
Yeah, because it looks like it's his choices, which is very strange somehow to me. Like it seemed like he had Infinity and he chose to leave. Mm-hmm. He wasn't kicked, like he chose to. How do you leave a team like Infinity? I would think that if you just sort of have the right attitude and you want to do stuff, that they can make it happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. I mean, come on, they have a pretty much, in RC terms at least, unlimited budget. So if you are like, look, I want to win the worlds, I want to do this and that, to help develop, I'm going to move to America, do it, like anything. Like, I think anything could have been possible. Why would it? I just can't see it where it's a situation where he's stuck in Australia and can't do anything. I don't see it. Like,
I think
how? Why?
Like what make me like, everybody was like, it's Mayako. No, it's not. I don't, I'm not involved in Mayako in any way like that, but I know kind of how you think and I know what you're looking for in a driver. So, I think the biggest issue with McBride is always that he's not leaving Australia. I think the one thing, and I said this from the beginning, like when he was an Associated, I was hoping that Associated would, he kind of needs to go to America for 6 months or a year and just go out there and race and grind it out and get, be surrounded. Because when the guy gets around, let me tell you, man, when he gets around higher talent, he definitely raises his game. You know what I mean? I saw it at RCGP. So I don't know what's going to happen with Kyle McBride. I hope that this next change I hope he finds what he's looking for in this next change. And I just hope we see him more on the international stage, man, because he's, and with that, I would like to see the young Alex Bernardzak get out and race some more too, internationally too. But I think it's incredibly impressive that the Australians have some fast dudes there. Like, you know what I mean? You have Kyle, you have Alex, and you have, then you have the Thylacine. He's like, it's a little bit, he's below those guys, maybe not on those level, but like Aaron's good. Then you got like young Jack Parsi, Caleb Noble, and then it looks like that kid that kind of took McBride's place on the Tekno team, Jaden. So I hope these guys get to travel too, man. Because Australia is producing some fast young guys as well. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Is it Mugen? Is it SCRC? It might be HB for all we know. I don't know how. I just don't know where he's gonna go. Like, it's just a conundrum for me. So it's I don't know. It's just silly season's gonna be a hard one this year. In other news, before we get out of here, Joseph, the Raw Nationals are taking place at Tim Lime's track in Adobe RC Raceway. Congratulations to Tim Lime, but they've changed the dates to March, which I understand why they've changed it, because they've changed it from, which is usually in June, they've changed it to now March 17th to the 20th. So it's like a month after DNC. Now, and also I want to say shout out and congratulations to the guys in Puerto Rico, because they got the on-road Fuel Nationals, which I know is big for them because they race a lot of on-road there. But I just want to touch on this a little bit. From my sources, and I knew about a week before this was announced that this race was being moved. And this is no disrespect to Tim Lime, it's my mate and all that stuff, but he's been working to get this track up and going for a long time. I think it's like combined. Like I think the location's great. It's like in the middle of Phoenix. It's like in Phoenix. It's got great amenities. It's easy for people to get to and all that type of stuff. I understand why it has to be in March, because it's gonna be 120 degrees in Phoenix, Arizona in June, and nobody wants to be there in that temperature. But to announce it on such a short notice like this, I can't help but think that this is going to affect attendance. And how the payout goes with Raw is like, you have to hit a certain number of entries before you start making money off the entries. Yes, you can get money off the sponsors and all that type of stuff. But here's the bigger thing, Joseph. My sources say that no tracks bid on the off-road nationals, and that they actually went and asked a few tracks, and maybe some tracks didn't fit all the needs that they needed, or maybe some tracks rejected them. But this is, if this isn't a slap in the face and a wake up call for Raw and these federations, when you have your most prestigious race, your biggest money making race, and no tracks want to hold it, something is terribly wrong. And by the way, I heard this from not my source that told me that the race was going to be moved. I heard this from another source. So it sounds like to me like Tim said, "Hey, I can do it, but I got it." And man, he's got. I told him, I said, "Tim, you got a lot of work to do between now." He's like, "Well, we're gonna have the warm up race and this. The Nats will be here in March. We're gonna have DNC nationals. I know RCGP is supposed to be in there somewhere. Maybe that's gonna be moved now. And then we got. Then after that, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after, you got PMB. So it's gonna be a busy 3 months for these guys, man. A busy 3 months. What's your thoughts on that, Joseph?
I think that for races like the Euros and the Nationals in America, the last years, there haven't been many tracks that have bid on them. Mm-hmm. It's not something very popular. It's not something that tracks want to do for whatever reason. Maybe the requirements, the opportunities to make money on the race, maybe the people they have to deal with, be involved with. So I think I think, like you said, these federations need to take a look at what's going on and figure out why that is, because every track should want to have the national or the Euros or the Worlds. Like that should be the dream of a track or a club, to be allowed or privileged or able to host a race like that. And now it's like it's a burden and no one wants to do it. So clearly something is a bit off.
Well,
there.
Our guest this week, which is Lance Macdonald, he shared his thoughts after he held, Southside held the Nationals in 2018. And after going to this last Nationals in 2021, here's what I'm going to say. And I don't care what Raw thinks or what any of the federations think. It has to be better. Raw has to do more than just show up and be like, okay, thank you for our money and see you later. If it isn't for these tracks and the track crew and the money that these tracks are spending out to do these races wouldn't be as good as they are. I watched Lance and Brian and all those guys at Southside bust their asses to make that race go off with all that rain and all that stuff, while the Raw guys sat there and drank coffee. I watched this last race at the Nationals where Kevin and his awesome crew of people made this race go properly and be done properly. If it wasn't for these people, Raw would have been clueless and just sitting there in their oversized bloody jerseys talking, drinking their fucking Starbucks. So something's got to change, man. Obviously, people just don't want to take the risk. Why? I get it. Tracks like, I've talked about the breakdown of how things go in Raw. Why, as a track, would you put yourself through that? And some guys just come in and was like, oh, thank you. No, we're in charge. See you later. And the people that come and be in charge are completely clueless. So, it's a shame, because I think that the Nationals is the most prestigious race in America. I think that the Euros is the most prestigious race in Europe. And I think that the Worlds is the most prestigious race that we have in RC. And if we ain't having tracks that don't want to have nothing to do with them, something is obviously wrong. But no, what will they do? They'll put their heads in the sand like an ostrich and pretend that nothing is happening. Just like they haven't come out with the tests for the fuel tanks after all this talk. We're going to test. Where are the results from the test? Everybody's forgotten about that, like I said.
Yeah.
But I was like, Tim, congratulations. I know this is something that he wants to, he wants to put it on. So I hope he does it the best. I hope Joseph, we might actually be able to go to it. We might be in the States when it happens.
What's the date?
The dates are March 17th to the 20th.
So it's the week before RCGP.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But probably would have to be preparing the RCGP.
You'll be spectators. They won't let you race.
I can't race?
No.
Can't I get the raw license and race?
Maybe. Hey, they might.
No, I have to live in America.
I think this is going to be a predominantly West Coast Nationals this year. The West Coast glider, Phoenix is an easy place to get to, and all that type of stuff. And I want it to be a successful race for Tim and them guys. And this is the first big race that this track's holding. And I think I think it's gonna be awesome, and it's gonna be awesome because Tim makes it awesome, not because of Raw. So it's gonna be interesting to see. And I don't know what's going to happen with RCGP. They might have to move their date or move the
No, I don't think
location.
so.
Or move the location.
Yeah,
So,
maybe location, but I think the dates are set.
all right. Joseph, I got a shout out to the Puerto Ricans, man. My Boricuas. Felicidades. I know that's a big thing for them. They kind of gives them that validation, you know. And I hope the same for them. I hope that they get enough interest where that club makes money and they make I can just imagine a Raw Nationals on road with a Latin twist to it. I think I want to be there. I think I'm going to hop on the ferry and go over to that race. It's in October. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. All right, Josie, you know what, man? We have a few questions to answer here. So I think it's time to go on to the Beach RC Bench Racing Q&A. What about you, Joseph?
Well, we can, yes, if you insist.
BeachRC.com, the racers' one-stop online hobby shop. Choose from all the popular brands and variety in stock with super fast shipping and great customer service. BeachRC.com still has the local hobby shop feel with all the benefits of the internet. BeachRC.com is the exclusive distributor for Ultimate Racing, JQ Racing, Pro Circuit Racing Tires, Nitro Lux Fuels, and Assault RC Performance products. So fill up your cart and check out at BeachRC.com today.
And thank you to Beach RC for their continued support. Check out Beach RC YouTube channel. Lucas has been doing some pretty good vlogs on there, man, of his travels around that he's been doing and all that type of stuff. And he's getting really good at his editing, man. So I enjoy his vlog videos, and he just did one from Blue Ridge Nationals. And hey, we have an affiliate link for Beach RC. Beach RC puts a lot of money back into the racing community. If you guys can go there and use that affiliate link, it helps us, it helps them, and we greatly appreciate it. It will be in the written description of this podcast. So first up, we have some Discord questions, because now the NNRC has a Discord. We almost have 200 members in there. I would like to see 500 members in there by the end of the year. I'm hoping that the Discord can be like this NNRC Discord can be like the old starting grid type of vibe that we used to have, that I used to like so much. People getting to know each other, talking crap, having fun, arguing, or whatever, I just hope it turns into that. So our first questions come from one of our from the Discord, and it's from my good buddy, Jason Roberts. And he wants to know, how does raising or lowering the diff height affect the car?
That's a good question. So it's not quite always that straightforward, but I'll try and keep it simple. So it has to do with the relationship of the rest of the geometry and where the drive shaft is and that sort of thing. What you're really doing, I think, is affecting the drive shaft movement in the outdrives and the friction that is caused by that. So generally, a higher diff will make the car drive stiffer and firmer on power. So you have more corner speed. The car is worse in bumps because the suspension is firmer, stiffer when you get on power. But it's the faster setting. So a high diff is fast. A high diff is good on good grip. So if you run 10 scale on carpet, if you can raise the diff, that would be a good thing. Then a low diff, on the other hand, that makes the suspension softer and more plush. So it's better in bumps, maybe easier to drive, but you have less corner speed, it seems. So it's that slower but easier setting often. That's how I would explain it. And something that I've liked to do on the Moyaco actually is running the front diff low and the rear diff high. And where the adjustment is on the Moyaco buggy, when I do that, it makes it so I still have the support on power of the rear end, not wanting to squat too much. And I have the corner speed I need, but the front end is more forgiving and it's not so aggressive. So I'd like to run that.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. We have another Discord question from my boy D Hoff. What's up, D Hoff? You know who D Hoff is. He geeks. He one of the best machinists I've ever met, man. That guy can make some aluminum art that you can't even Imagine. It's actually about we talked about it, the Hagberg thing, but he wants to know, here's a question for the podcast. After discussing Hagberg's touring car comparison, where the modern chassis was less than 1 second faster per lap than a 20-year-old car, there's some debate if a similar comparison should be made between 8-scale buggies.
Well, we already covered that.
Right. He just goes, he wanted to say something. He says, Mugen geometry is very similar to that of the MBX5, which won the Worlds in 2004. So there won't be a big difference in that case. I'm curious to hear your opinions on which car platform brand improved the most in the past 20 years or since entering the market, and which ones went stagnant. This is strictly based on performance.
Okay, so which has improved the most? I would say that, okay, let's think about them. So if we are thinking about the brands that existed 20 years ago and where they are today. So Mugen as one, I would say that Mugen have gone from being known as a very easy car to drive, stable, to something that is not. The Mugen now is not very easy to drive and stable and just run the same setup everywhere. It's not like that. If people say that, it's because they have that image from before, like the brand is so strong that people still think that, even though it's not true. The wide pivot, the way the car is, it's more aggressive, nervous, you lose the rear end. It's an aggressive car now. It's not like it used to be. Is that better or worse? I mean, Mayfield's winning a lot. It's fast. I would say, so how do you judge? The car is very good. It's very capable, but it's not universally seen as a people's car. Just pick it up and drive. It's easy. It's not that way anymore. That's the development of Mugen, I think. Kyosho was 20 years ago, super good. They were winning everything. Didn't win that Worlds, but
they were close.
They could have some flame outs and issues. They won a lot back then also because they had the most durable car. They would finish the races, and they had a lot of drivers. So, yes. Now today, they have, up until the MP10, I would say that their development was steady in the same direction. It was to make a very good, easy car that is capable in any condition. Now they have sort of gone with the trend of making the car have natural corner speed at the cost of ease. So for your average driver, it's not as good anymore. You can't just run the same setup everywhere and be happy, kind of. The car naturally is more aggressive and not as safe as the older one. So I would say similar direction to Mugen, but not as aggressively. And who else? So Thunder Tiger was back then.
X-Ray was around 20 years ago, right?
X-Ray was new back then, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
X-Ray was just released. I would say that X-Ray was good back then and is still good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
in a very similar way, kind of. Actually,
I think we're gonna have to throw HB in there too, even though it was more like 2008-ish.
Yeah, well, HB, yeah, 2008, 7, 8, something like that. 8, they won the Worlds. Was it kind of quite new then, I think?
Yeah.
Where was 2006? Yeah, you didn't really see much HB 2006. Yeah. It really emerged for 2008, 7 and 8.
And then like Jesse Roberts
I would say HB have developed in a good direction overall. They have a lot still that they share with the very old cars, but it's better than back then for sure. The car, they've got it to where it's very stable and good and easy to drive, and they've improved a bit on the mechanical side on it also.
Oh, you can throw Losi in there too. You can throw Associated because they were there in 2008.
Yeah, Losi 2006 it was released. I would say Losi have gone backwards because when Losi was first released, they had this moment where they were the best. And everyone thought that was the way to go, but it actually wasn't. It was just that the other cars needed to add some steering and corner speed to their cars, but they actually had the correct base, I would say. Lowe's base was good for some US tracks, good for Ebuggy, but in general, not the best. And now Lowe's just has gone backwards even more.
Oh gosh,
so
you getting a letter.
They have a. I heard they have a new car though, so
Yeah.
Curious to see what they did there. So
Associated's
definitely
improved.
not Lowe's. Associated, they when did they release theirs?
Around 2000. When Mayfield had his, he was running the Associated in 28 Worlds.
Maybe about
And-
the same time as sometime they mixed in 6, 7, 8, something like that. They have also developed in a good way, but I mean their last development was copying a Mugen, so I can't really count them as development, you know. Who else was around back then? I would say, if I had to say someone like who has developed the best from back then to now to today, then I would probably have to say HB.
Mm-hmm.
Because HB has not taken a step backwards in, like, arguably in some sense
Many
backwards,
years.
you know, like they haven't gone from, okay, this car needs some improving to improving it. Now it's easier to drive. Now it's better to, okay, it's better in this way, but it's worse in this other way. Do you see what I mean? Mm-hmm. They haven't done that. They have just steadily improved in every way, I think.
I would agree with you.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. I think the brand.
Yeah, Mugen has improved, but Mugen also made it so now those people who back then were like, oh, it's the easiest car to drive. Well, it's not anymore. Kyosho, same thing. Like, Kyosho is so good, it's the easiest car to drive. Nope, you can't say that about the FP10.
I think the biggest fall from grace is Kyosho. I mean, you went from being the powerhouse of everything.
That's not because of the car. The car isn't like
right, but that's because
the car isn't a reason for that. You know?
I agree with you there. Yeah.
I would agree. And if we look from 2010, then definitely yours truly right here.
Well, I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming.
10 years then, for sure. That's easy.
Yeah, you've learned a lot in 10 years. A lot.
Amazing.
All right. We're getting on to some Facebook questions. Chris Tradu, what's up, good buddy? He asked about tracks last time. I'll keep it going. You can race only one track for the rest of your life. It can be a current or existing track, or you can bring back a closed track. Where are you racing?
Just one for the rest of my life. That's tough.
Yeah, he actually has 2 questions. So if I could bring one, what? Oh no, you go, Joseph. Okay. I will tell you a track that I always wanted to race on, but I never really got to race on. And I know it's going to be, I haven't yet gotten to race on it or drive on it, but it's going to be Homer's track, man. Tilt Yard. I've always wanted to go there. I always thought that Homer was thinking outside of the box way back then. And he was building beautiful tracks 20, 25 years ago. And he's still doing it. And,
you know,
I would like to go race at that track. I think it's badass.
To be honest, I would say Fear Farm, Arizona, for DNC. Yeah. Okay. Because you can run that wet or dry, change the layout, make it whatever you like. Yeah. Okay. That's where I would race for the last of my days.
Next questions. He says, if you could design your dream track, what features would it have? Who's building it? Would it be dirt? What is the dirt traction type, indoor versus outdoor?
The dirt would be like Fear Farm, kind of. So it gets rough, difficult. It's off-road, clearly. It's not this smooth sort of on-road with jumps. I don't like that. And I think Westergaard would build it, and it would be more technical. These tracks we have now, the thing that annoys me is that it's just sort of 90-degree corners or hairpins and massive jumps. That's really the style that we have in RC now. And I just don't like that very much. So everyone does the same thing. Why can't we make it so it's difficult? So you really have to be a good driver to be able to do some of the things, you know? So the lesser drivers, they take a different line and they do the easy way. And then the really good drivers, they do the difficult rhythm or something like that, you know? That's what I would do. And to be able to do that, you have to slow that track down a bit. So you can't enter the jump section super fast, you know. So you slow the layout down, and then provide options for how to jump. So just one example, you remember the Charlotte Worlds, and you remember there was that section where you jumped on a tabletop, skipped onto the next one, then hopped over a single. And I think Mike Truey was the only one who really,
yes, he was the only one that could do it
super consistently, right? And then Hara, one reason why he won was that he sort of picked up on it and found the rhythm for the main and started doing it very consistently. So
you don't see that anymore.
That was the kind of section where you entered it kind of slow, and then you timed the first jump and then skipped 2 more times. So it was a very technical section to do. But those are the kind of things that I think we should have, you know, where you have to jump within a very small space so that you can make the next jump. So you really have to time it. But if you don't want to do that, then you can do the slower rhythm, which is easy. It's just a bit slower, you know?
If I remember correctly, it wasn't a full jump. It was like half a jump, the single.
It was like you jumped high up onto a tabletop, which dropped down onto a smaller tabletop, and then you had to time it right so that you could sort of blip the throttle and skip over a single into a corner.
I remember that moment too. He was the only person doing that. That's why he's flying. He
wasn't the only one doing it, but he
in the beginning.
The best.
Yeah. Believe it or not, man, if I had to build my dream track, I would. I know this is probably you're not gonna agree with me. I would just do Southern Nats, man. I would get the guy who built the Southern Nats track. I would do it right there in Southern Nationals because it's air conditioned throughout that whole track and it doesn't get all smoky and dusty. And yeah, because I ain't seen nobody else build a track like that guy, the old Southern Nats with the elevation and all that stuff. And it's indoor. You got to worry about weather. It's not super smooth. It gets rough. Yeah, I think that's the route I would go, to be honest.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is from Sweden. What's up, Magnus? How you doing? Question of the week. Where do I buy the cap in Europe if possible? Well, I think one of our goals is to open up our merch shop in 2022 so people can get hats and shirts and stuff and show support of the NNRC. So yeah, watch this space. Hopefully in 2022 we get that done. Austin Schrafer, just got a nice Ignite 10 scale truck conversion. I can't wait to see him do it. Go run it. He asks, what does a wide or narrow pivot do? Asking for my 10 scale cars, but it can apply to anything. Thanks, guys.
I would say, to keep it simple, wide pivot has automatic corner speed. Your car will want to maintain corner speed more, rotate more, but if you have a wide pivot in the rear, for example, it also means that you have a bit less grip or less consistent grip. Less overall grip, I would say. So you can have the risk of losing the rear end also. So wide pivots, they don't quite land quite as well. The suspension isn't as good at absorbing bumps and landings. So it's not quite as good in bumps also. The car is a bit more responsive, aggressive. And then narrow pivot makes for the car that is very calm and easy, a lot of overall grip, but less corner speed, then less natural corner speed. So it's a compromise. You have to find the right pivot width for the car and the rest of the geometry. But basically wide, fast, but aggressive and difficult. Narrow, slower, but easier, calmer, more stable.
Justin Huglin, what's up, Cusco? He goes, how long do you think it would take 1/7 scale Ebuggy to completely pay the bills? He's talking about E-Truggy to completely pay the bills. Well, I'm going to tell you, man, E-Truggy is gaining popularity by the race. So I think
E-Truggy will never be anything.
Joseph, e-truggy is growing like a weed. You don't want to admit it.
And
you know
what? That's why we have poison to kill those weeds.
No. You're going to become an e-truggy specialist because you're a truggy specialist.
We also have weed whackers.
The guy's hating on the class that he can do really well at. No, man, I seriously think that e-truggy is here to stay. I want one. And yeah, I think I don't care what Joseph said. I think it's a cool class. I think it's cool. Ben Tracy.
I think it's the dumbest class we have after short course. That's the kind of class that you aren't supposed to race.
Of course you want to truggy. Of course you're going to race
Maybe
it.
like at club races, like for beginners.
No.
But you aren't supposed to race it at some national event.
I disagree. No, it's not a national event, but I disagree with you. I honestly do.
It's horrible.
It's here to stay, and it's not going anywhere.
It's horrible.
Ben Tracy, when the heck is Mugen releasing a new buggy? Should be soon. It's about time, I would say.
You think so?
Yeah, I think next year it's coming.
I'm curious to see. Somehow I don't think so.
Maybe. I mean,
if they release a new buggy, you know what they're gonna do? I'll tell you right now. They'll just make a narrow pivot and
with the MBX6 arms.
Make
They'll just
new arms that are the same as MBX6, but they are new. That's it. That's their new car.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, excitement over.
Benjamin James, I believe that I asked about favorites for the 8-scale worlds as the 2021 season wraps up and we look at the race in Spain next year. Who is the dark horse and who could surprise you in 2021? I'm going to say something and it's going to piss people off though.
Before you say that, let's just say that we already know the same old guys. Let's agree on them first, but let's find who is the new guy. Usually at Worlds, someone emerges, right? So who emerges? So the same old guys we know Ongaro, Ronnefalk, Mayfield, Tessman. They are like the real elite of the elite. Then Fend will be fast, but will fend himself. Cavalieri fading a bit, also not the greatest 8-scale right now. The other Europeans like Boots and all the Italians, and actually one guy I think above those, Berton, but he'll break a 3D printed arm or something. But we know the normal guys. But who will emerge? Carl McBride, 2010, 4th place. Like, who the fuck is that? You know, who is the Carl McBride of the next Worlds? Or even Ongaro, many people didn't know really how fast he was.
Question.
Then he finished 4th in 2016. 18, CJ Jelin, but I wouldn't really sort of count him. He was already fast, and it's...
I have a suggestion. I have one.
Yeah, go.
Alex Bernardzak.
Yes, that's a good
if
one.
If he goes, Alex can be the dark horse. He's that good, I think. Let's go ahead.
Could any of those American youngsters?
I'm trying to think. I'm racking my brain. Mason Fuller.
Yeah, like one of those guys.
I think Mason Fuller could be a dark horse.
Or those,
maybe not to. Yeah, well, I think Aiden can make the main. Now here's my question that somebody asked me: how many Americans do you think is going to be in the main in Spain?
Oh well, there's one thing about that. So first of all, right now in Europe, the Europeans are really fast. So
are the Americans.
Yeah, but they aren't really fast in Europe. That's my point.
Right.
I think that Mayfield and Tessman are that kind of drivers and guys that they will be there no matter what. But the other guys, I'm kind of skeptical, honestly, because it's not... Today, you cannot just drive. You have to have your car and tires on point too. And the Radovan track is very different to the tracks in America. But like I said, like Mayfield and Tessman, they are sort of the kind of drivers that they will figure it out, I feel. Mm-hmm. But the rest, I am not sure.
I think
when
Cole
I say
will
figure out, no, I don't think so.
Really?
No, not to make the main at the Worlds kind of thing. No.
Yes.
Because Australia was a more American style track than European, right? Mm-hmm. He wasn't even close to make the main, was he? Was he?
I can't remember.
Yeah. this is a pure European track that we're talking about.
This is true.
Yes. So I just don't see that happening. But here's what I wanted to say. So they have scheduled the Euros at Radovan also.
No way.
Yeah. So I understood that they were supposed to be in Portugal, but I saw the schedule, and they have a meeting, EFRA meeting now this weekend. And right now, as of today, both the Euros and the Worlds are in Radovan in Spain.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know that is it just the case that they have to make that change in the meeting or something. But yeah, so that's kind of weird that they actually have both races scheduled there. If they don't move that race to Portugal, the Euros to Portugal, in that meeting this weekend, then I think the Americans won't be very happy because we would have a Euros warm up and the Euros on the same track.
I actually don't think that's fair. I actually don't think that's fair. So
yeah, that's going to be curious.
I don't agree with that. As much as I wouldn't do Euros to be in Radovan because I think it's just a great track, I just don't think it's fair. And people will kick shit if that happens. Trust me. So I don't think EFRA's going to do that. But then again, who knows? Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I just hope to be there. I know EFRA's not going to give me press credentials, but if I go to the Worlds, but
why?
I doubt it. They don't like me too much. But who needs press credentials when you have cell phones and everything else, and you can watch from the side of the race? But we shall see. All right, 2 more questions, and then we're gonna go on to the main interview with Lance Macdonald, and then Joseph and I we're gonna come back, and I got a little down and quiet I want to talk about. Clinic RC, what's up?
Go? I have a Mayako meeting.
No, they can wait. You're always late. We only got about 20 minutes left of this to do. Clinic RC, what's up, Tony Newland? Me and Tony been sharing a lot of old stories, man. I got to get him back on the podcast. He's got a lot of stories from back in the day. Knowing what he knows now, what would JQ have done differently through his journey?
Well, wow. I would have not made the engine and not made the ready to run.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I would have just focused everything. I would have focused everything on the 8 scale. I would have made the Ebuggy sooner and then had Nitro and electric 8 scale and then developed them faster.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Truggy. I thought you were going to say then I would have developed a Truggy.
Well, if I had done that, then maybe I could have had a Truggy also then back then. That's the only sort of clear thing that I think I would have done differently.
Okay. And we have one more question, which is pretty simple because we've said it quite a few times on this podcast. Horbag 92. Horbag. I know that sounds bad how I'm saying that, but it's HORBAG. Horbag 92. Is it important to have some sort of method when practicing throughout the week? Yep. Get invisible speed book and practice in 5-minute sessions.
Yeah. So this is what I meant when I was talking about boots. So what I said was that he should be better and he isn't. And there's only 2 reasons for that. Either he isn't dedicated and he just, even though he has all the opportunities, he doesn't take them. So he doesn't put the time and effort in. That's one. Or he is putting time and effort in, but he is not doing it in an effective way. And I don't know which one of those is true. I don't know if he isn't going to the track or if he is going to the track. Only he knows that. But what I do know is that he has all the opportunities and he has talent and he should be faster than he is now. And the key is what this guy was asking about. So should you have some kind of program process? What what you do. And yes, that's key. So you need a good program. If you really want to win, you need to have a system when you practice. So you aren't just doing laps, you are improving. You are working on something to improve. You have to work on both your car, your setup, your engine and clutch and tire choice and all of that. That's one thing. And then the second thing is your driving, your precision, your best lap, and how close to your best lap you can be for that entire 5 minutes. How you recover from mistakes, how you race under pressure, like all of those things. Like you need to work on those things, think about them, and then figure out ways to improve. Practice some kind of thing, like something like Ongano is faster than me when he lands jumps into corners. Why? Figure out why. Like, is it a driving thing? Is it just some driving technique thing? Practice that, like apply yourself to that level. And if you do that, then you will succeed. But if you just go to the track and you just drive, you will not improve. These good drivers around the world are so good now. If they just go to the track and drive, it's not going to do anything for them. They're not going to improve.
Okay. All right. Well, man, thank you everybody for the questions. People were waiting for you for a while to come on this podcast to ask these questions, Joseph. So thank you for your answers. Remember, everybody, we have an affiliate link for Bench RC. Thank you to them for their support. If you guys could use that, we greatly appreciate it. It is in the written description of this podcast and in the link tree link that is in the podcast. Joseph, we're going to go off to talk to Lancelot and get his take. He talks about AMS and everything else that's coming up. And I'm going to come back and we're going to do the SCRC Dawn and Quiet. All right?
Okay.
Tekno RC. Tekno RC. Tekno RC is a premium manufacturer specializing in 8th and 10th scale high-performance off-road RC buggies and trucks. Visit www.teknorc.com for a complete catalog of their products. Tekno RC. Excellence in engineering. Hashtag Tekno Takeover.
If you're from the Southeast, you know this gentleman to my right. If you guys don't know who he is, you've probably heard his voice. If you've ever watched any race time events, I'd like to welcome, I don't know what your official title is, the Voice of the South or something like that.
No, but, I'm just Lance. That's all I am.
I call him Lancelot because I don't know too many people named Lance. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Lance Macdonald. How are you, Lance?
I'm great, Lefty. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We tried to do this yesterday, and then we had electricity problems, and then we were supposed to do this at 6, and we had my electricity problems. We got to get that fixed here. But thank you for coming on. I actually was asked to bring you on by one of the patrons. I don't know if I want to say his name, but he knows who he is. But he asked me early on this year, and I had talked to you. And not only that, but a couple of people had told me about the Florida RC championships that you have going on. So I did want to touch on that, which we will. But for those that don't know you, I don't even know how you got into this. I always ask, how did you discover this crazy thing that is RC racing?
So in 2010, we were driving by Hobbytown USA, which is a national chain RC or hobby store. And they were having their RC Olympics out in the back in the parking lot. My son at the time was right around 10 years old, and it caught our eye. We just happened to swing in there, check it all out, thought it was really, really cool, and walked out of there with a Traxxas Stampede, two-wheel drive Stampede. And they had just opened a little small RC park here in my hometown. It was very basic, very small, and we were there playing around, just having some fun. And a gentleman from Shiverville RC Raceway, which was a 10th scale track about 45 minutes south of where we live, say, hey, you should come out, race with us, this, that, and everything else. And that's what really bit us when we went to our first RC race at Shiverville. That was in probably January of 2011 is probably when
Okay.
that happened. So been at it right at about 10 years now.
Yeah, it seems like you've been in this a lot longer, but
Mhm.
you've been deeply involved in RC, and I totally understand how that happens. So that's good. Your son, did he continue to race, or?
Well, he raced up until 2016. He was a junior at that time, and Peyton started developing some skills in football. His body was developing, and he was becoming quite good at football
Mhm.
on a local level, and was fortunate enough to receive a scholarship to go to college. So he started kind of focusing a little bit more on that because, college is for the future. RC, there's very few people that actually make money in RC and will make a
Mhm.
living at it. So he knew that, and that's where he started putting his focus at.
Yeah, school and
Mhm.
football is definitely way more important than RC at that
Yeah,
point. And
yeah.
like I thought, I said, you become a pro footballer, you can do marvelous things for RC. So
Yeah.
please do. But that's hard too. But he's still in school. I don't know what's making all this noise. Sir. Hold on for a second.
Yeah, I don't hear anything on my end at all. It sounds
Okay,
clear.
just
Clean.
me. All right. So when did you first pick up the mic or get the urge to pick up the mic and start doing this, and it started your race director career?
Yeah, so at Shiverville, very small, tight knit group. It just kind of just helped out, kind of picked up on some things there, because Ken, the owner of the track, was also a racer. He was, not an announcer, or he didn't really care to do that. He wanted to race and have fun and hang out with his buddies. There aren't many people that want to do the announcing side of it. I didn't care. I wanted Peyton to learn RC the same way that I learned in racing, and that was just to get right down into the middle of it, be responsible for your own car when your car breaks or falls apart because you didn't put it together right. Those are the hard lessons that you learn, but you always remember to not make those mistakes again. So, he went through that. I kind of pushed him in that direction to do his own wrenching. There were definitely times that I helped him out and stuff like that, but he picked up on it really really quick, and you have a better understanding of your car
Mhm.
setups and stuff like that when you're doing your own wrenching instead of somebody just wrenching for you, at 10, 12 years old. So
I agree with you there, man. I see too many father. In fact, I just had this conversation with a
mhm,
father today. I was like, man, the biggest thing you did was not teach your son or daughter how to wrench, like, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And I get
yep,
it, dads get involved in that, and that's their job, and that's what they like to
yep,
do. But I think you do a big disservice when you don't teach your son or daughter how to work on their own cars. And
yeah.
and
Go ahead.
actually, come to think of it, like, because you're from Florida, so people
Mhm.
just that don't know. In that time, like I would say 2011 up on, it's kind of backed off a little bit, but Florida was a very very competitive state, and I think it's still
Mhm.
probably one of the most competitive states when it comes to RC. Um, and especially in that time, there was a lot of racing going on in Florida. I'm sure in that 10
Yes.
years,
Yeah.
as it seems like it slowed down a bit,
Mhm.
but man, I could imagine like talking to like the Walkers and Jake
Mhm.
Lasker and some guys I know, and they was telling me about all these tracks that used to be open in Florida.
Mhm.
Florida was like had a really, it still does, has had a bigger RC scene than it
Mhm.
does now, but it was really competitive. I would say probably
Mhm.
the most competitive out of the eastern states.
Mhm.
I would say
Yeah,
so.
so I would there are a couple of things that attribute to that. So in the early 2010s, 2011, 12, we were all in the middle of a recession, almost a depression. 10th scale racing was huge because 8 scale racing at the time was super super expensive. You could race for half the cost on a 10th scale. Also, there was the big short course boom that was also taking place in the early 2010s to the mid 2014, 15. So 10th scale racing was massive. The Super Cup series, which was or still is a very popular and predominant series here in Florida for 10th scale racing only. We were pulling an average of 200 to 300 entries at some races, but they were always pulling 180, 190 entries, pulling a very large crowd.
That's
every
big for
month.
10 scale.
Yes, it is. It is very big, and it was huge. We were running 12, 14, 16-hour days sometimes, because driver stand sizes and track sizes were not big enough to handle those type of entries. So it was crazy long days. But yeah, 10 scale racing in the early 2010s up to the 2015, 16 was huge. It was big. And we had a lot of really good racers, and we still do. Jason Rona picked up a remote a lot more back then than he does now. Paul Wynn is still super active on the track. We don't see Ryan Eckert nowhere near as much as we used to. Leon McIntosh was really big and active back then. J.R. Mitch.
I remember him.
Yeah.
JR raced this past weekend.
He
I
did.
think.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. He went up to a carpet race somewhere. I think it was at GS Hobbies.
Yeah.
I think I seen where he was racing. But he's started his family now, and he just doesn't hit the track as much as he used to. JR, for the longest time, honestly, he was probably the best driver in Florida. He had such amazing talent. He could really wheel a car, especially a 4-wheel drive buggy, 10 scale buggy. Man, he could rip those things.
Well, it's funny because it was a lot of fast guys coming out of Florida back in my day. We had the Travis Scramblins. This is back when there was like a real East Coast versus West Coast, and the East Coast had this is when Bobby Moore was fast.
Okay, yeah, when he was down in Coral Springs and all.
Yeah, and Scott Stahl and all these type of guys. This is mostly 8 scale. And I forgot about how fast JR Mitch is, and yes, Florida has a very rich heritage of RC, and I guess that's also because you guys can do it all year round too.
That's correct. Yeah, we can race 10 scale and 8 scale all year. Well, the last couple of years it ain't been that way because trying to race 8 scale has been an absolute disaster with the rain. It has rained so much here in Florida, and it is frustrating. We haven't raced at Southside, my home track, now since May or April. Excuse me.
Wow.
Nobody, not a single car has been on the track. It's been, it just rains. It just rains all the time. And then when we do have free time to work on the track, we're also racers, and we want to race and spend time with our families.
I agree.
Tough.
It is hard. We're going to talk about rain because you guys had to battle that in 2018 and overcome that at the Nationals. So I guess you just enjoyed doing the RD thing then when you picked it up, and you enjoyed it because you have to enjoy to do this. You have to enjoy it. And it just transitioned into more and more stuff. When did you do your first real big out of state race?
I think it was 2014. I think it was Bring the Heat in Flowood, Mississippi. Okay. And actually that was my first real 8 scale event. I had a lot of 10 scale experience, but that was my first real 8 scale event, with having different divisions with pro and sportsman and open and stuff like that. And I made some mistakes when I was setting up the grid, and luckily there were people there to help me out, because I put all the pros back to back to back to back, and all the sportsmen back to back to back to back.
Right.
The same way you do with the stock guys and the pro guys, and that kind of stuff in 10 scale, but you can't do that in 8 scale. So, I made my mistakes there. I had had a lesson to learn, but there were people there to guide and say, hey, you can't do that, kind of thing. And, but yeah, that was my first one. It was 2014, but I had ran some really big 10 scale races in Florida, with the Super Cup and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I think Florida's still like one of the only places that kind of race 10 scale outdoors.
But there's not as many outdoor tracks as there used to be. There used to be a bunch of them. But now, right off the top of my head, the ones that are just strictly 10 scale, they're very few and in between.
Coral Springs, maybe Mills Pond. But
yeah. Mills is really big, and Coral Springs they have a mix. Newberry is right off the top of my head. They're the only track I can think of that is predominantly tailored to 10th scale. Callahan, out just outside of Jacksonville, they're a smaller track which they're fixing to expand. They do some 10th scale, but most of them that are outdoors, there's I think two. That's really all there
yeah,
is two.
if you really
Where
think
one
about it,
time
yeah.
we had 10 at one time.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing to think so many tracks. But that's the ebb and flow of RC too, and it's ebb and flow of 10 scale. 10 scale was getting hot at that time, was cheaper, like you said, and now it seems
smaller
to come.
track, easier to maintain.
Yeah, and I don't know how it is now. It's still, I definitely during the winter months, it's a bigger draw. But I think once it's summertime, people want to burn Nitro and Ebuggy and all that type of stuff.
Is any of there,
All
buddy?
right. Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, it had some bandwidth issues there. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. I was just saying. I think that I still think 8 scale is king. Sorry.
Yes,
I was gonna say that.
without a doubt. It 8 scale in 2017 exploded in Florida. It was always around. It never went away, but it exploded back in 2017 is when it came back super strong.
Yes, because it was. I mean, like I think at the fastest, I probably still is one of the fastest 8 scale drivers is Justin Fales. And I saw he raced the other day or something.
Yep.
Yeah, he did race the other day.
Yep, he runs the series in Florida, the Florida RC Championships. He runs the series.
I mean,
He's
young
leading the
man, so
points right now.
fast,
He
so
is.
fast, so fast.
Yep.
I bet he needs to do school too. Important. Very
He's
important.
at college as well. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, you obviously enjoy the race calling. Did it take you a long time to develop your particular style? Because I do enjoy the way you call races. You make it exciting.
Yeah. So no, it didn't. So I was at a Super Cup in 2000. This was round one at what is now Beachline, but at the time it was Space Coast. In 2013, I think it was, and a guy was there again, 300 entries, all by himself, trying to figure some things out. We were running way behind, so I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go help him out, So I went over to Fred and started helping him. That's Fred Reap, he's really big with J Concepts and in the monster trucks, and I just started helping him. I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to help you. So we can get this program moving along. It's Sunday and we're running way behind. You lost
I'm still
power.
here. Yeah, we'll just
Okay.
keep going until it comes back.
Buddy. All right. So yeah, I just jumped in there and I picked up the mic and it just came out. I can't describe it. It just happened. I didn't know that I could talk that way and that fast. And it just happened. It literally just happened.
Yeah, I really enjoy. I mean, when I know we're talking in the dark right now, just because you guys know, my electricity just went off again. So if this cuts short here, it is going to cut short if it doesn't come back on.
Yeah.
So Lance, you've been doing RD for quite some time now. What is one of the most difficult things to get done as a race director for you?
Yep. So I thought about this in detail, for just a moment here, and everybody, something that I learned, everybody wants rules. Everybody wants rules enforced until the rules are enforced upon them. Then they don't like it. They don't like the person that's doing the enforcing. That's something that I noticed. Everybody wants it. And everybody wants organization. They want rules. They want guidelines. They want parameters. They want limits until something is enforced and affects them. When it affects them, it immediately becomes stupid, ignorant. Can't believe you're doing that. You're singling me out. That guy just don't like me, And when it deep down comes to it, well, damn, I did break that rule, or I did do this, or I did do that. But nobody ever admits that. Nobody ever admits anymore that they did something wrong. The integrity side of it sometimes gets lost in the heat of competition and the pressures to perform and do good.
I would have to agree with that. Everybody likes rules when it doesn't apply to them. And but I think I think that we need more rules. Like, you know what I mean? I think we need a bit more rules in some of the racing sometimes. But I get it. And you know what? At the end of the day, that person, when they're in the heat of the moment, they're pissed off anyway. So when they get him and maybe they see video of it, or maybe they, like, someone said, no, you really did hit that guy, like, or whatever, you know, then you calm down and you realize it. But it's just, I think that's just part of being an RD. You know what I mean? You're going to have to put up with some crap from some people. How about, what is one of the things that you enjoy it? Because you come back and you do it, and you obviously enjoy it. Did you not hear me just now?
I didn't, buddy. I'm sorry.
Okay. Sorry. I wasn't sure if you had froze or nothing. All right. So my question was, what is one of the things that you enjoy about being an RD?
Oh, so, you know, I at first and foremost, I'm a race fan. I have always been around some form of racing my entire life, from about 6 years old, that I can really remember the very first time going to a track, from the very first time I sat in a go-kart at 7 years old and competitively raced. I've always watched any type of form of motorsports, whether it be NASCAR or AMA or drag racing, NHRA. I've watched it all, and I've done a lot of it, been involved. So first and foremost, I'm a huge race fan. And I tell people this all the time. The best part about being a race director is the sportsman guy or the open guy that is in the D main, that is battling for a bump spot. They are racing just as hard as a pro guy in A main number 3 for the world title. They are giving it everything that they have within their ability to win that lower main. And I love calling a lower main tight battle between just some average Joe and the person that has never made an A main before, you know, for a bump from a B. You know, those types of races. Oh man, I love those type. It's awesome to watch. You know,
and you're known for making that, like, every person that I heard, they say, wow, Lance calls, I've heard that about you. It don't matter if you're in the pro main or you're in the lower B main. If Lance is calling a race, he's going to make you feel like you're a champion. And that's good, because I think that the RD role, I honestly think that you should just be doing RD on itself. I mean, I'm not RD announcing on itself. You shouldn't have to make decisions. You shouldn't have to be watching the computer and all that type of stuff. Because I think you can focus on what you're doing and just be better at that. But I know, obviously, this doesn't allow that.
That's
Ideally, how many people would you think to work with if you had to deal with? I think it takes 3 people to do it.
At big events, you know, and I'm just going to use P&B for instance. If you wanted to do it correctly on the direction side of it, you would have your timekeeper is what you would have, you know, for running the computer, keep an eye on transponders, missed laps, that kind of stuff like that. You would have your announcer is what you would have. And then you would have a backup, you know, somebody to try to help manage and also watch what's going on.
Like a referee.
That guy had a flame out, and I heard it when he went across the line, when they were bringing him in the pit, it counted his car, you know, kind of thing like that. But let's say for P&B, for instance, that you got 3 people. Well, as long as P&B is, now you've got 6, because you have to have 2 shifts of it. You know, it ain't just 3 people. You got to have double that. Or a race, you know, that runs 12, 14 hours every day, you really have to have double that people. You got to have 6. Well, there aren't really 6 people in this industry.
That can
and
do
you
that.
you all have to be the same. You know, it'd be really tough to find that kind of stuff. You know, there are so many things that are kind of backwards and upside down in RC, but at the same time, there aren't enough bodies to perform the tasks that need to be done, especially at larger events for multiple people. You know,
and you have to rest. I mean, I mean, how do you get through a 14-hour day of race calling? Like, what do you have? Do you have like a special concoction or something that keeps your voice good?
So,
or how does that work?
So and I'll go back to P&B. This was my first year back at P&B after 2 years, 3 years. And I lost my voice on mains day right around about 2-3 o'clock. I called a lot of races at the beginning of the mains for the lower races, and about 2-3 o'clock it was about done. As far as what I do, I try to use a throat lozenge or a butterscotch or something like that to try to help keep my vocal cords from drying out. That seems to help. I try to lay off the sodas as much as possible, because sodas will affect you, or stuff that's high in caffeine. But also at the same time, I will open up a Monster and I'll have that Monster all day long. I don't just chug it, but I'll sip on a Monster all day long to give me the energy to be able to stay awake. I think for PNB, I think I have slept 7 hours in 3 days at PNB.
No, thank
So,
you. I always say to people, that's a race I like to go to, but I do not like to race it. I would not want to race it. All right. Let's talk about rough driving and penalties, because you're pretty lenient. And I like that, because you let people rub and race. And what brings most recently, let's talk about the Southern Nats pass, where Mason Fuller pulled off an absolutely beautiful pass on Ryan Mayfield on the last corner of the race. And it caused a big kerfunkle. Obviously I got involved in that. But you was right there. You had it. You called the race. And I heard you. I watched Mason come, and I was like, this guy's going to overtake Mayfield. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, you had to see the same thing. And you was good with it. And everybody was making all this noise, and we broke it down and all this type of stuff. And I'm still good with it. All right. So let's go. What do you consider that? A racing incident? Robbins racing?
Yes. So if you watch it in real time and you listen to what I say, so I have to make a decision off of what happens in basically a 2.5 second incident on the track. So when Mayfield was coming into the corner, and again, you can listen to it on the video, when Mayfield was coming into the corner, every lap, even prior, I had made mention of this in the live feed, he was checking up to avoid a hole or blowout section that was on the track that was heavily disrupting his car. So this same thing that he was driving to the inside of, between the pipe and where the hole was, he had earlier hit in the truggy main and put him all the way into pit lane. So he knew that hole was there because there was so much load on the left-hand side of the car, and it disrupted the car so much and the truck so much that it caused him to wreck all the way into pit lane. So he knew this. So when he was coming in, he was checking up. But on that last lap, and again, I even said it on the live feed, he checked up more than what he normally did in the lap prior. Okay. Now, Mason, young kid, had a lot of balls, man. I mean, he went for it. He knew that was the only way he was going to win that race. When Mayfield checked up, Mason was right there to take advantage, and he stuck that thing to the inside. And man, he 100% left that door open in that race. And Mason put the car there. Perfectly. He would never ever do that again that perfectly ever in 100 tries. He would never get it that right.
We had Tebow on after that, and he told us, he said, I watched it, and he says, I wouldn't have done that. I couldn't have pulled that off. And he says, more power to him. And he explained that how Mason has become, he used to hit people a lot, and now he's becoming a much better driver. And I was talking to Mason's old man and all that type of stuff. He was a bit upset because people, not upset, but just we do this too. We do get on young kids and all that stuff. And I think it's great. I think it's, we always say, what does JQ say? Don't be a champ. Don't be a fanboy. Be a champion, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it means to me.
This is racing, not follow the leader.
Exactly.
If all you want to do is follow the leader, you are never going to be that Cavallari, Tebow, Mayfield. You will never be that Finn. You will never be that person if all you ever do is follow the person in front of you.
Exactly. And if we go back to the B main of Ebuggy, we saw the Brandon Road, and who was it? Brandon Road and Joey Bourdon. And that was a complete different incident. It
was.
And you can tell. And if Mason would have done that, obviously that would have been wrong. But I think even Mayfield probably at the end when he calmed down and saw some video, he might have been like,
Yeah.
all right, he got me. I left the door open.
Yeah.
All right. So we have. I know. I kind of want to talk about Raw and all that type of stuff, but we're gonna do that later. I really want to touch on AMS because I know you're gonna be. I know you was involved with this, and you're gonna be the guy calling this. Kudos to Dave for trying something new. I wouldn't say something new, but definitely something new for him, and which is used to the big entry races. He's trying a cap race. I know Joseph was also involved. I was shocked when I found out that, to be honest. But that's great because we should work together to make things better at the end of the day. So I would like I want you to fully explain. I'm an idiot. So explain to me how the schedule, how the racing is going to work. And the one thing I always would like to tell people is track time, quality track time. Because yes, we know that race time always has open practice, which is fine. I'm cool with that. I also like proper practice, but that's one of the things that race time has, and it's going to be different for a lot of people. But I think that's quality practice. Does that make sense?
It does. So I'm going to touch on that. As far as my personal, I'm not a fan of the controlled practice in this way, because there are people that do need a little bit more track time to be able to familiarize themselves. And I do know for a fact, there are people that are not coming because they don't like the control. I don't want just 2 practice sessions or 3 practice sessions. I want my full practice. So I got it. Teach their own. Everybody likes
get that
their
too.
own stuff.
I 100% get it.
But this race, Dave really wanted to. He's doing something very outside of the box from what he has always done. There have been a lot of people for years and years and years that have screamed to the high heavens that they despise these high entry races. So I
don't despise them. Sorry, just let me get that straight. I put my hand up. Sorry. So just be beautiful. I put my hand up. I don't despise them. I think there's room for both. I understand why we need high entry races.
Yeah. So he is doing, from the moment your car hits the track, you will have the exact same amount of time as everybody else leading up to mains day. There will be no person that will have more time on the track than what your entry paid for. So as far as qualifying goes, there's still the 3 rounds of qualifying, or excuse me, for the practice. You get 2 practice sessions per entry. Then there's a seeding round that will take place. There'll be 3 rounds of qualifying at 5 minutes. Now the qualifying is going to be a little bit different. There were some other things that we wanted to do, but due to timing and scoring restraints, it's the best 3 consecutive laps combined of 2 rounds. So your best 3 consecutive laps, say round 1 combined with round 3, is what will actually seed you into the main. Or actually, I should say Super Bowl is really what I should say. So that is very different. I kind of do something similar to that here in Florida. I was shocked that Dave kind of really went that way, being on the bigger event. But you know what? I personally, when I did it here in my own series, I didn't like it, but the racers spoke and they love it. There are very few people that complain. They love the best 3 laps.
So
and the reason,
it doesn't have to be, sorry, just for my clarification, it's not 3 laps in a row. It's just 3 laps overall.
No, best 3 consecutive laps per round.
Per round.
Yeah,
okay, I missed
per
that
round.
part.
Per round, yeah. So let's say your best 3 consecutive laps are lap 4, 5, and 6 of round 1, and then your best 3 consecutive laps are 2, 3, and 4 of round 2. And those were your 2 best times. They'll be combined, and that's what seeds you into the main.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. But here's something that I learned from my own series, and one of the reasons why I tried it. If you have problems getting your car started to start the race, so what? You start a minute late, no big deal. You run your first lap and you're like, oh my God, this car sucks. I want a little bit more ride height in the rear, a little less ride height in the rear, more in the front. Come on in, make a change. You want to change your tires. come in, change your tires, go back out there, run your laps. Your car flames out. No big deal. I still got plenty of time on the clock. I'm gonna run my 3 laps. You actually can have your problems and issues, make your changes, all that kind of stuff, and still get your best 3 consecutive laps in the 5
I never even thought of it that way.
It takes some of the pressure off. It takes some of the pressure off in that aspect. And it also will make a person. So I just had 2 clean laps. I just ran 2 good clean laps. I felt really good about them. They're going to push that 3rd lap a little bit harder. It's pushing the racer to the point to where they're going to drive to their maximum ability to keep them from or to turn their best lap. They'll also be a little bit more cognizant of turning into the corners too quick, going a little too wide in the corners, things like that. It's all about maintaining that line. Now, there are some racers and there are some people that also say, well, that guy just drove right through me. Well, buddy, it doesn't matter whether it's the best 3 consecutive laps or a 5-minute run. That happens no matter what. That hasn't changed one bit whatsoever. People always, when they're racing their own clock and somebody gets in front of them, it ain't try to drive around them. People just drive through them, which that's a whole nother story. So. But anyway, that's how qualifying works.
So there's 3 rounds of that on Friday.
Thursday starts
Thursday.
Thursday. We have
no, it starts.
You know
Thursday,
what?
Doesn't it?
I apologize. I don't have the schedule in front of me, and I even made the schedule up, and it's been so long ago I forgot what it is.
No, it starts Thursday. Practice starts Thursday. I think qualifying is on Friday.
Qualifying is on Friday. Yes. Yeah, and we have the Super Pole. Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Qualifying's on Thursday. Yes, or Friday.
And then Super Bowl Saturday morning, correct?
Correct.
So everybody gets 10 minutes to.
Yep. Everything will be broke down in heat. So it'll be. I'm trying to remember, and I really should pull it up.
Yeah, no problem. Pull it up.
So yeah,
so we can get it right.
Just 1 second here. Yep. So Saturday morning is Super Bowl. So you'll have they'll be broke down into groups, A, B, and C groups, very similar to mains, but it's broke down in groups. And the winner of the Super Bowl will advance to the next group automatically. So he'll get the bump up into. So let's say he qualified in the C main, he then gets to go to the B main.
Okay.
And that order for, say, the C group will get to it'll be reordered for the mains.
Got you.
So 1 through 15, first place winner automatically goes to the B. 2 through 15, whatever that finishing order, that's how they'll line up for the AA mains.
Okay. So, and that's another thing. You guys are going to have double A mains for electrics, which is great. Triple A mains for all A mains, 30-minute lower mains for Nitro, and 45-minute. Yes. I think people like, I honestly think people by Sunday are going to be tired of racing.
100%. There will be people that will say something along these lines. I was tired of being on the track.
I think I saw this at RCGP on the Saturday. That's how, and people's like, I got one more round to go. I just want to go home and chill. I'm like, oh, you got one more round to go, man. All right. So really, people are going to get, I was telling people like, okay, well, I usually run 3 classes at this. I was like, look, man, just run 2. Run 2, and I guarantee you'll feel fulfilled. I say run Ebuggy and Nitro Buggy, or run E-Truggy and Nitro Truggy. You know what I mean? Or something like that. Or whatever you want to do, whatever combination. If you want to run 3 or 4, whatever, you can do whatever too. But I give Dave lots of credit. This is very ballsy, very out of his element. Now, I know Dave gets a little upset at us sometimes because we do give him some crap, but he does things differently. Like he got badass trophies. He takes pride in his product. Even though I'm not into the monsters and all the stuff, that's his thing. I'm cool with that. Like, you know what I mean? I think I really applaud him for doing this. I really do. And hopefully it works so we can do it next year, because I would like to come to this race next year. And I think I think AMS puts the cherry on top of what's been a damn good season of 8-scale racing in America. If you really look at it, and probably one of the best seasons we've had in many years. And I think it all comes to a point because you're going to have all those guys there, and it's going to come to one final race in November, kind of how it should be, like other motorsports. And I'm looking forward to it. What would you say to maybe somebody that is on the fence at the moment about AMS to tell them to come and try it out?
Yeah, so with the limited amount of entries that are going to be there, it's not as diluted, and maybe I shouldn't use the word diluted, but it's not going to be as
it's going to be more of an experience.
Yes,
more laid
it will
back.
be. It will be more of a personalized experience. So you will have more access to, as a sportsman racer that has come to those events before. Every time you walk by a JC tent, there's always people standing there. Where Mayfield's at, or go by a TLR tent. There's always people standing there. You will have more access to the pros, and it'll be more personable one-on-one, because there will be half of the people there that are normally there, and people don't realize how much they're going to be able to be on the track, the quality of the event itself. Okay, well, I know that I'm up at this time. I'm going to go eat dinner with my buddies, which is something that JQ has brought up for years and years and years to me, and I understand, where he was coming from. But the quality of the event will be extremely organized. Where, hey, Ryan, you know what? You're not up for a couple hours. Do you mind just running down? Let's go get a hamburger. Can I talk to you for a little while? Can I buy you lunch or something like that? The average racer will have those experiences, with Jason or Paul, or with anybody, with Dakota or anyone, with Jared and Joe. They'll be able to have that kind of stuff. That was something that I was able to take advantage of at Bring the Heat when my son raced, and we were able to take the Drakes, out to dinner one night, because it was controlled, and it wasn't a huge long 14, 18-hour day where there was no time for any of that kind of stuff. It makes it much more personable.
I would 100% agree there. Starting at a decent hour, getting out at a decent hour, you get to, oh, I'm not up for a couple hours. I can go over here and talk crap to this person for a couple hours, or just have a couple of beers or whatever. And I think people are going to enjoy that. And I honestly think we'll see it again next year. Like I said, we have what, 5 race time events? Yeah. So you have the 3 all out entry ones, and you have Southern Nats, which is capped higher than this, but then you have the AMS race.
Yeah.
So
real quick, I just want to touch on something for Southern Nats. Southern Nats is a capped entry race. This year, we dealt with a hurricane 2 weeks prior to the event. There were a lot of people that reached out to Dave, and I've seen a lot of people complaining after the event. Well, I thought this was a cap race. So people reached out to Dave and say, look, man, I just went through this hurricane. There's no way I can come. Can I get a refund, kind of thing? And Dave gave them their money back. He understands. He's not a cold-hearted person. He understands that racing is secondary and our lives are primary. So he gave out a lot of refunds, and he opened registration back up in hopes that it would fill to the point to be able to pay the bills. There were a lot of people that reached out and like, hey, can I just pay at the track? Can I do this? And he's like, yeah, sure. But when people aren't registered and prepaid online, you're like, oh my God, what if those people don't show up? Well, they did show up, and they showed up in droves. They were like, oh my God, and they flooded us in, and the entry count did get a little bit out of control at Southern Nats, and I don't know why people harp on Dave, for that kind of stuff.
It's the second one they've done, right?
Yeah, it's the second one, but we dealt with a hurricane 2 weeks prior, and Dave was doing a personable thing, on that, and I just wanted to put that out there. He understands that it's a capped entry race, and we know that it did get out of control. We understand.
I would say that this is probably the one of the more expensive races for Dave too, logistically wise, because it's kind of far away from everybody. I mean, you're pretty much in Texas.
I spent $500 and actually $600 in fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
Just me, myself. I spent $600 in fuel to get there and back. So I can only imagine what it's like for him to have to pull all of that equipment and then go back and get the rest of it and come back again. It's a lot. you know. And it's about the same hours long drive for him as it is for me. He's just a little bit north of me, but when you're going out west, it's still about the same. And
Yeah, and that's like honestly maybe an hour away from the Texas border. So
yeah, it ain't far.
it's not far at all. All right. Let's talk about let's talk about Southside, because you says it's not been nothing because of rain. Nothing's happened there since May. I attended my first nationals at Southside. I enjoyed myself, probably too much the first night. But I paid for it the next day. It was extreme. The one thing
so hot.
I thought it was hot. I thought it was hot.
Man.
When I got to there, like Central Florida, like there was no ocean here, no ocean. Right. I was like, this is hot.
It's hot. No wind. It's hot.
No wind. It was seriously, people. It was like 100 degrees it was 100 degrees and it was super humid. But what impressed me was the adversity that you and your team came. First, there was drama leading up to it. Obviously, let's talk about that. Yeah. I don't know if you're cool with Bobby now or if you're cool with Jeff, but I remember when that all went down with the Lupus Live stuff and the track and all that stuff. I remember you getting so angry at them guys. So that was that. Then you didn't you had Joey to come do the layout, but you couldn't really get, because of the weather, you couldn't even get him to do the layout properly. So I don't know if you guys had the actual layout that you wanted, but it was good. It was good for what it was. I think it worked out great.
Yeah.
Lots of you went through a lot of adversity, and then raining through the actual event. You know what I mean? Like tarping that thing, and then I think you got a tarp from you had to tarp it, and then you had to drag that tarp. I watched you guys. I was like, these guys are busting their asses to put on this race, and I hope. It was a good race. It was a great race. At the end of the day, we Ty Tasman won. I enjoyed myself, and I give you guys enough credit, a lot of credit for that. Now, since then, we've kind of had some conversations and stuff like that. What did you learn from that race? And dealing with Raw.
Yeah, so I'm gonna tell you about a very specific thing that happened with it. Roar is the one that makes the majority of the money. Okay. They also will then dictate to you. They want you to put the flyer together. They want you to put the schedule together. They want you to do all of this stuff, but it's their event. They want you to do everything for them. They want to keep all the money, the majority of the money, but they want you to do 100% of the work, especially not just the track work, but they also want to do to do the organizational work as well leading up to the event. And I was really, really shocked at that. I'm like, so we got to do the race flyer, we got to do the race schedule, we got to give out the gifts, we got to
banquet.
We got all this stuff that we got to do, but you're going to get all the money, and we're just going to get small little slices of the pie. And then this is also, I don't know what it's like now, and I'll be honest with you, I don't care to know what it's like, if it's still this way or not. I hope it's not. There was bickering at the time between Roar and Live RC about what can and cannot be done. And after you learn, you're in the middle of it, and you learn what's going on as far as what it takes from the Live RC side, but then Roar wants to dictate what can and cannot be done. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. You want me to do all of the work, you want me to spend all the money, you want me to collect the money to be able to put this part of it on, but then you want to dictate to me how it needs to be done and allow other people to do Facebook Lives or Periscope. At that time it was Periscopes or whatever they wanted to do. And I understood that, there was rights and things like that, of how little the industry is, and then how little effort the sanctioning body put work into it. I'm like, man, that's, it's not kind of, I wonder if you think about it, does NASCAR go to, Atlanta Motor Speedway and say, hey, we want you to do everything, but we're going to keep all the ticket sales and we're going to keep all the TV money. We're just going to give you, 15% of it. Nah, it doesn't work that way, you know.
I know
So
how it's broken down too. I know how it's broken down, and I understand. It's actually on the track. Okay, so the track has to do all the flyers. They have to do the shirts. They have to do the organization. They
Everything.
have to do the track. Everything. Raw shows up with their weights and their scales and all that stuff and their oversized shirts, and they come and they do their job. Well, do their job, and I think it was at 100. You have to get at least 196 entries before you start seeing the percentage of the entrance money. Right?
Correct.
You
That's
get
correct.
$1,500. You don't make you can make money off the sponsors and you can make money off the t-shirt sales and that type of stuff. But you guys did pamphlets, which I thought was I still have mine. I love it. You know, I thought you didn't do it just for the pro guys, you did it for
we did it for everybody.
Every single person that showed up.
Yep.
I got
Everybody.
you had I still have it. I have it. Well, you had raw you got a care package. You got a thing like a thing to keep you cool. Like did you put in ice and you kept it there?
Yep. Like a squeegee type thing that went, or not a squeegee, a sponge that went around your neck to help keep you cool.
You got a big tumbler with the Raw Nationals and all that stuff put on it. You got a shirt.
Well, it was also personalized. So if you paid for an entry, your cup had your name on it.
See, I didn't entries, but I bought a cup at there.
If you were a racer paid entry, it had your name on it.
I'm like a Yeti. I'm not talking about no cheap tumbler.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a real like
the 44 ounce
tumbler.
one.
Yeah. This is what you got as an entry into that race. And the pamphlet alone, I know that cost you guys a lot of money because it was whole color. It looked great. You know what I mean? It looked like would you get something at a real race. I love that. I love that. I love pamphlets and all that stuff. So I get it, man. And you did all that work and then raw like you guys out there busting your ass, sweeping all that water off, dealing with all the dumb stuff, and you guys did it and you pulled it off. And it's unfortunate that you come out of races where you put in all that work and you do such good things that now you kind of don't want anything to do with them. And it's a shame. It really is a shame because this is the federation of the USA, and we should want to have these races and all this type of stuff. It's just I kind of knew why you guys now that I knew how the money was split up, I was like, man, I wonder if them guys made any money at that race. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
We didn't go into the mindset of making any money whatsoever. We just went in with the mindset of being able to put on the best nationals that we could put on, and not lose money. You know, the Jumbotron that we had, that thing was $10,000 for that Jumbotron. You know, we worked out deals with our county. We have a tourist development council that also helps fund that park. And we explained to them, you know, what is going to be going on and the financial reach that there is and different things like that. You know, we were fortunate enough, they gave us a lot of money to help pay for that. That's what helped pay for those pamphlets and paid for the live RC crew and paid for the big Jumbotron and stuff like that. It was money that we went outside of the RC industry and collected. You know, there were a lot of people that noticed on our banners and on our backdrops the Chevron logo. You know, we went to our local Chevron distributor and they gave us money. So we went outside as much as we could to the RC or outside of the RC industry to try to help fund this event. There was a lot of expense. You know, the tarps were $7,000 that went over there. There were two of them. They were $3,500 a piece. We had to get some that were thick enough that would be able to withstand the weight, that would not seep any water, but they had to be big enough where they were not seen together, where they would leak water into the track, because you don't want to have a big wet spot and a big dry spot right beside it. So there was a lot that went into that. Then the winch system that we used to help pick the tarps up for water flow, so we could get in there with pumps in the middle and then pump it out, so we didn't have a bunch of water to deal with. There was a lot of thought process that went into the whole thing to make sure that it went off. I'll never understand why on earth they have their most biggest and premier events. They have the 10th scale nationals, ENATs or electric in August, and they had the fuel nats in June. Why? Let's have our two biggest races at the hottest and most rainiest times of the year. I'll never get it.
I actually heard that it might be moved this year. It might be earlier this year. That's what I'm hearing. Well, next year. Sorry.
Yeah.
It sounds like a sore spot. Obviously, Raw isn't too happy with me, but I think we need it. We need it. We need federations and all that stuff. And as a man who does RD and does rules and has been through a Raw race and all that stuff, I have to ask you this: how do we fix Raw, or do we scrap it altogether and start all over?
Okay. I think Roar needs to relook. You know, Roar is still very similar to whenever it was founded in the 60s and 70s. Whenever it was in its infancy and it was being made and produced, it is still basically the exact same. But the whole world has changed completely, totally, 100% around it. And they never really adapted. But if they did adapt, it was so slow to move along with it. You know, I got involved with Roar back in 2015-ish, and it's still the exact same it is today. You know, here we are 5, 6, 7 years later, and there's nothing that has changed. It's still the exact same as it was, even back then. And the industry as a whole has changed drastically, from sponsorship size, from the type of cars that we're driving, the advancements that are made in cars and development and things like that. But we're still working with the same rules packages. That it's either show and go home, be DQ'd, or something along those lines. You know, there's many things. I wish that Roar.
Let me ask you something. As a person that was involved with them, did you, like, I would assume, because I always say you run into that old guard, you know, that old guard who don't want to let go. They have that power. They don't want to let go. I'm sure there's people like Raw that think like, well, that were involved in Raw that think like you and just get like they just run out of, like, they just can't, like, every time they try to do something, they get stonewalled because people just want to hold on to that power. I think for me, the only way to fix Raw is to get everybody out. I think there's people that are good that should stay, but I think we should get people out, get new people in that have some experience. People like you know what I mean?
No.
I think you would be good at it. I think you'd be good at it.
I did my time. So.
But I think you'd be good at it. But I think if you had different people involved that had to, I think you need to approach it like you would, like, have a group of people that have the same on the same wavelength as you, or as you all have the same exact goals, and that's to progress RC forward, bring it, you know, and because I think desperately we need rules and regulations in racing. In fact, we had a conversation about this before you came on here. And I think people just get in there and they have good intentions, and then they just get stonewalled and they get fed up. I mean, even me, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm been beating the raw horse for 6 months now. Everybody's forgot about the Nationals, even though I think the right call was made at the Nationals. You know what I mean? But at least, like, I would want Raw to do the test on the tanks and see if that's true. If it's true, it's not even their fault, because they've been just doing it how they're supposed to be doing it.
I'm glad you brought that part of it up, because I told you that I had many ideas and things that I would like to see implemented in the Roar. Why are the majority of the rules, break a rule, automatically DQ'd? So let's bring Cole's situation up. Okay. Cole did not receive a competitive advantage from it. However, he did break a rule. So why did that rule result in a 100%? All right, you're out, you're done. See you later. Go home. Why is that? Why?
Because
did
that's
that
the
not,
rules.
Right. But why does that rule? Okay, we don't have a competitive advantage, so you are going to begin with a 1-lap penalty, or in the results of this race, we're going to give you a 1-position loss.
I would prefer that.
Why does it have to be a DQ? Why was the man just shunned out of the race? Because he did not receive a single competitive advantage from it. He still made his pit stops at the normal 7-8 minutes. He was not running for 11-12 minutes. You know, he did not receive a competitive advantage. So why is there, okay, all right, you won your semi, and I'm just going to just use this as reference. You
Mhm.
won your semi, so instead of starting, now second or third or whatever it would have been, you're going to start one position back. We're going to move you back one position, or we're going to dock you so many seconds. You're going to begin one lap down, or you're going to go to the back of the pack
Mhm.
in your
Mhm.
next main. Why is that? Why is it just, oh, go home? The same thing happened with Ryan Lutz whenever the tire wear, when he was
Mhm.
cutting it too close. Why is it just, oh, you're out, you're done, sorry, go home? Why is
Yeah.
that? Why is there not some sort of thought put into the rules package? We are here to compete to a
Mhm.
point, but at the same time, things do happen in circumstances that are outside of racers' control. Look, I was one of the ones that thought when Jared Tebow's transponder quit working, and I still believe this to the day, well, why is he being hand counted? Because it is in the rule book. Now you're sticking to the damn fuel thing like it's, oh my God. But it clearly states in the rule book that it's the racer's responsibility. If his transponder quits, then you don't get counted. But they sat there and hand counted them. Why
They
did they
did.
make that adjustment then? Why
You
is
bring
it
up
okay?
very
Well,
good
let's make a
points.
decision. Let's break and change the rules over here, but let's just send the man home that is having the absolute best run of his life on that weekend for Cole. Oh, just pack your shit and go home. And excuse my language, but that's basically
That's
the way it
fine.
was.
That's
He received
fine.
no competitive advantage from it.
Remember that same
Sorry,
race
I
that
just
no, but I never even looked at it like that, because they remember when he at the 27th, the same nationals that Tebow got hand counted, Cole missed turn marshalling in the morning because his volunteer didn't show up. They docked. He started a lap down, unlapped himself, and still made it to the main. So basically, there has to be there. I would agree with that. Like, all right, there was no look. There was no. I personally, this is how I look at it. I look at it like this. I think Cole forgot about it. You know what I mean? And it happened. I think the Tasmans were on the very edge, like they always are, because they are very on the edge, and the heat and all that stuff got them, and they were probably counting, hoping they would shrink back. But we're talking about very minute. Everybody was looking for runtime that race. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they didn't win that race because of that. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. They won the race because they had better skill that weekend with a better setup with a better car. Plain and simple. It wasn't because they had an advantage over somebody else. They did not run 2 minutes longer than everybody else and receive one less pit stop. That to me, that is where in the rule book on certain things needs to be looked at. There are a lot of things on that aspect that was just absolutely wrong. I really did. I sat here and I was like, I can't believe they're going to disqualify Cole, because I was watching on TV, or actually watching on my computer just like everybody else. I can't believe they're going to disqualify him over that. And I immediately thought of him like, why is he not just given okay, you're going to start at the back of the pack. You're going to, whatever, do something different, but don't just send the man home. My God, this is how he makes his damn living. What
and we as fans got robbed from watching him and Ty Tasman, who I think were the two guys that had anything for Ryan Mayfield at this race. We didn't get to see them run. So as fans, we got robbed of that too. But that you bring up good points, and all that can be looked at, and that all has to be looked at and brought into this century. Like, you know what I mean? You can give I never even see, you brought up some good points because I didn't think of it that way. You gave the man a 1 lap penalty for not having a turn marshal in his semis 5 years ago, right? What just put him at the back and put him a lap down. At least he still gets to race it.
Yeah.
And if he's good enough, he'll unlap himself.
Yep.
So we definitely got robbed, and that's a great way to look at it. But that's it, stuck in that archaic thinking back 40 years ago when it was just like this, and that goes for IFMAR too. IFMAR needs to evaluate those rules and look at that for things too. Like
what was it with the help me out with IFMAR with the wings several years ago?
Wasn't it
the wing thing? Because
we had it at Roar too. The side dams are just a touch too.
Oh, come, yeah. I mean,
that's a no-no. That's a no. That happened. It happened at the Nationals too. At your Nationals.
Well, IFMAR has one set of rules, and then Roar has another set of rules. Well, you have your world governing body, and then you have your national governing body that had two separate sets of rules. Well, how the hell is that fair to anybody or the manufacturers?
Nobody.
How much more confusing can you make it?
And it's just a little piece of a wing. Like, come on. I know.
Yes.
Yeah. It was literally that much of a wing.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Like, I'm glad you brought that up because I never looked at it from that side. And you're right. You are right about the T-Bow. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, hold on. The rules say this, but they made an exception. Was it the right thing? He won it. He won that race.
Yeah.
Ryan Lutz may not think so.
Yeah.
Because Ryan Lutz was right behind him. And by the rules, he should have won, but they made that exception. So it has to be some leeway. It has to. But I think, man, Raw was just under so much pressure. Oh my God. They were under so much pressure that day.
Roar themselves. There needs to be a true race committee. That is what they do full time. That and they don't have enough. 4 people is not enough for that type of event. They really need to have between 6 and 8 people, and that's what their job needs to be just for race. Then they need to have the actual administrative side of it, and again, that needs to be 4 and 5 people. Then they also need to have a product approval side of it, as far as
motors and stuff,
bodies
like that.
and motors and batteries and things like that. And I've got some good ideas I'd like to share with you if you want to hear about that side of it. So have you ever actually looked at the battery and ESC and rule book when it comes to motors and all that? Have you ever seen how many products there are on that?
I don't even know if I want to see that. Is it that big?
When I tell you it is thousands of product. Okay. So I'm going to touch on I'm just going to say electric motors. Okay. Just for right now. All right. When a manufacturer is developing a new electric motor, I'm 99.9% sure right now they have to be a member of ROAR to be able to be on the product approval list. That product, okay, especially on the 10th scale side of it, because that's where a lot of the controversy comes in at, because everybody's looking for every little petabower they can get. They need to submit, let's say we will only accept new product approvals in the odd years. So you need to submit your motors in the even years so we can review those to be able to be approved in the odd year. So, and I'm just going to use this for reference. So 2022 is coming up. Trinity needs to submit all of their motors that they want for ROAR approval in 2022 to be placed on the 2023 list. Okay. And then once they submit those motors over, those are their approvals up until the next year's submission, which would take place in 2024. Those motors would be on the market for a full year. Secondly, the motors that were approved for use in 2021 will then fall off in 2025. That's 4 years. They would no longer be on the ROAR approval list. It keeps the list from being diluted. It keeps it fresh with new product, because let's face it, if you're in the 10th scale business and you're competitive racing on that type of level, you're not using a 4-year-old motor. No. There is no reason for a motor to be on there that has been there since 2007, has not been produced, and you can't find one in a box nowhere, but it's still on the ROAR approval list. So you can only submit motors in the odd years. They stay on there for 1 full year, then you submit the next one. So you get 2 full uses out of that developed motor. Yes, it will slow down innovation a little bit, but here's the big thing. It helps control the cost on the stock side a little bit, and it allows that development of that motor to process some returns in profits instead of being obsolete 6 months from now.
Yeah. I'm all, yeah, we definitely need stuff like that, especially with stock racing being as expensive as it is. And like, as much as Joey's going to hate me to say this, technologically advancing, more advanced than stock. Okay, Joey? Okay? Pink Pinion Crusader. See, that's why we need people like you. That's why we need people like you. I hope we need to fix it, though. I mean, we just need to basically fix it so we got a fundamental foundation in RC again. You know what I mean?
It's not complicated, and it doesn't have to be made complicated. And there is so much in the rule book that needs to be cleaned up, clarified, re-looked at. It doesn't take years of redlining what's going on in the rule book whenever they do announce changes.
They need some housekeeping. It sounds like they need some serious housekeeping, and they need people that are passionate and they need to pay. Like I think what they should do is probably take the salary that they pay one person and split that up and make several part-time people. I think there should be, I know obviously to have full-time staff at that, it has to generate a lot more money, but at least people that are making, if you're making $500,000 a month to be a raw, whatever, every 4 months, you have an incentive to do it. So I don't know, man.
Look, and another thing that ROAR as a sanctioning body really needs to look at, they really need a full-time individual. Your job is to go out and solicit sponsorships and support outside of the RC industry.
I agree with you.
Hit up the Monster, the Busch Beer, the AT&T, the Verizon. You hit those places up, for, hey, we put on these 8 major races a year. We have partnerships with Live RC. Work together as a community outside of the market to be able to receive those sponsorships. Here's one way you pay that guy's salary. All right, he signs $100,000 sponsorship with Verizon. I'm just using that but you're going to get 3% of that. So you're going to get 3% of that $100,000. Yeah. So you go sign $1 million contract. Next thing you know, you're making yourself a pretty good living. Now, I ain't saying it's going to be just that easy, because it does just say, oh yeah, well, it's easy to say, but it's not. But when you start paying people commissions off of their performances, we're going to give you this base salary. We're going to get this started. But once we start receiving these multi-year contracts, you're going to get a pieces of these pies is what you're going to be getting. And this is where your salary is going to come from to feed your family, to buy that new car, to buy that new home, to keep your lights turned on.
And that makes people
there
hungry.
there are things to do it. There are grants that can even be gotten through the U.S. government to fund things, to develop stuff, since we are so family driven and even youth driven as far as programs that could be put together. Again, this is where it ties back to ROAR. This is where the responsibility comes in helping to develop and build the sport. Okay, well, we're going to receive a $500,000 grant from the U.S. government, and we're going to take applications from tracks that are members with us and see what do they need to build, what do they need to develop to help things, and we're going to give them a portion of that $500,000 grant that goes into that community. You don't think that that's going to raise some some county commissioners and city councilmen eyebrows whenever an RC track, hey, I just got this $25,000 grant to build this, I just need your permission to do it. You're gonna be like, oh, well, what's going on over here? We're talking about free money coming into our community. There's so many aspects of it, as far as that goes. I know I'm just rambling on. I'm sorry.
Believe it or not, you sound just like JQ, because that's
Lord.
He said all the same stuff about EFRA. Everything you said, like you could get government grants, the federations to be going out to these companies, and then they should take this money and put it to.
First thing we got to do is we got to get you some better internet. Man.
I don't know. It's the evening time. See, this is why I don't like doing evening times. It drops everybody's home. See, everybody's home and on the internet. But yeah, he said all of that about EFRA, and it just takes somebody, like you said, they have to make their living off of that. If they make their living off, they're not going to work their asses off to do that. Yeah, and that's all great ideas, man.
So you hire somebody. And let's just, I'm just using reference here. So you hire somebody, you're going to give them a 2-year contract. We're going to hire you in. This is what your job is to do. We're going to pay you this X amount of dollars for the 2 years that you're building our brand and selling our product. And then, after that 2 years, we're going to renegotiate your contract. We're going to be looking at seeing what is coming in. You were giving you 2%, 3%, 4%, 10%, whatever you decide on that of the sponsorship dollars that are coming that are outside of RC industry.
Yeah, man.
And that's how you're going to make your living. You don't think that you tell somebody, hey, you go out and sign a couple of $100,000 contracts with Verizon, AT&T, or Chevy, or whoever, and we're going to give you 3% of that. You don't think they're going out there and bust their ass, and that's what they do for a living? I mean, that's what companies. There are companies that do that.
Exactly.
That's what they do for a living.
And these
So-
companies, like these Verizon and all these companies,
Hmm.
they have sponsorship money allocated
Yes.
for this type of stuff.
Yep. All
You know
gotta do
what?
is get your piece of the pie.
You know what somebody told me once? It was actually Nick Damon. He said, "We don't ask for enough."
No,
He
we
said,
don't.
We don't ask for enough. We ask for too little. And they say, if you're only asking for that much, you ain't worth my time.
Yep.
So-
You know, there with Live RC, there is enough market reach or availability for market reach, because everything these days is going towards streaming. Everybody's like, oh, TV. There's so much more that is streamed. The majority of soccer/football, whatever you want to call it, a lot of it's not on TV. It's all streamed. It's all simulcast, streamed somewhere. So you can't tell me that we can't reach markets, that are available, with different ways. There are people that specialize in getting product out to consumers that they have never heard about before, with all different types of social media all across the world. So
I 100% agree with you, Lance. I think people always say, because this is one of my questions, do you think RC can go mainstream? I think it could go mainstream when we have some charisma and character, and we market it to a shorter, short 30 minutes, boom, boom, in. Similar to kind of what RCGP done. I have to throw in an RCGP plug. But we just have to make it more exciting. You know what I mean? And we have to build characters, and we have to have some more. When people, I always get, you say you want professionalism, but Cole wasn't professional at the Nets. I said, I love Cole showing his emotion at the Nets. The man just got kicked out, like DQ from a race that he possibly could have won. Of course he's going to be upset. You know what I mean? He should show that. He shouldn't be like, oh, everything's fine. Yeah, we'll just come back next year. No, you be upset. People are invested in that. To me, people say, well, that's not professional. I said, well, Kyle Busch, when he loses or says something, he says what's on his mind, or when these, all this type of stuff. So why can't RC racers do the same thing? And I think that's what we need. I think we also need to have some sort of uniforms and all that, but that's a whole lot of stuff we could go into later. But we definitely need to use the professional side of RC more professionally. Does that make sense? So it's one thing I'd like to see. We have a lot of things to do before we could get to mainstream streaming.
Oh, most
as well.
definitely. Yeah.
But we can do it. We can do it.
Yeah, but there's no reason why we can't build the foundation blocks now while we're working towards that. Is there, for Rory, is there okay, this is what we're going to do in 2022. We need to be here in 2024. Then we need to be here in 2026. I've never heard or never even seen that this is our end goal. What is our time frame to get there? It's just stumble along like we always have.
I think they're just trying to make it through the year, man. And no offense to Jeff Parker, he gets his 80 grand and he's happy. Just saying. Yeah. That's not how it should be. You did just before one more word before we get off Raw. This is the governing body. They represent RC in America. They have more clout than they should have more clout than a lot of people. They are the ones that should be presenting this and getting grants and organizing a lot of stuff. So it's a long, long way to go.
So I don't understand why. Let's say at Roar Nationals for the 8 scale side of it. When do you think was the last time they got the top 25 racers together and say, okay, us as Roar are going to meet with the top 25 racers that are currently here at the Roar Nationals. This is the night after the event or the day after the event, and we need to get our racers' input. When do you think was the last time they met with all of the manufacturers, chassis manufacturers, motor manufacturers, ESC manufacturers, and say, okay, we need to meet with y'all. We need to get your input. This is our direction that we are looking to go. They've never, to my knowledge, they have never done that. I know they had IFMAR. They used to get people together from the different ones and get input, but I don't think in the Roar aspect of it, they've never got anybody together and actually got legitimate guidance and input from, okay, what are your thoughts on this? This is our direction that we're thinking about going. This is what we would like to do. We would like to get your input or maybe some ideas from it. But no, it just comes into a shit show and bitch fest on Facebook. Is usually what it turns into.
And I also think the problem with Raw is that a lot of people that are involved in it are on not, and there's nothing against on-road, but they're on-road based. You know what I mean?
The smaller side of it, yeah.
And
You have your big side, the off-road side that pays all the bills,
Mhm.
but everybody that's involved, the majority of people that's involved in it and have input is on the on-road side of it. Now, granted,
Yeah.
I know on-road is really big overseas. I completely understand, but over here, Roar side of it, it's off-road. That is where the money's at. That is where the racers are at.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100%. We could probably go on for a whole nother
we could.
hour about this. But we would have to get you back on to talk about that. All right. I wanted to touch on this. Your Florida RC Championships. I've heard lots of people like it. Obviously I know Danny. Danny Pat so upset. He was supposed to come nationals.
Oh man, yeah.
And he goes, it rained. I was like, I know, I'm not surprised it's Florida. And but great photographer, great. He's very good at what he does. Very nice young man. Hopefully I'll get him to come work with me one race because he takes really good pictures, really good of his video. And I just kind of like how you're doing the Florida art. Like you have everybody there. You have championship points, I believe, like team championship points. You have individual points for each. So you have 40 plus sportsmen, all that type of stuff. When did you started this last year, I believe, or year before?
Yeah, this year. I started it this year. First race was in February.
Why do I feel that I saw this last year?
No.
Maybe I've just seen so much of it.
Yeah, I announced the race or October of a year ago. I announced that I was coming back and starting the series October last year. So
right,
that's
it feels like you unretired longer ago.
No,
for some reason.
No, October. No.
So was the Florida RC Championships what made you come out of retirement?
The Florida Racers. I was being called by numerous people. People also on were asking me, to please come back and put a series together and just different things like that. And so I did. I talked to Stephanie, my wife, about it, and like I think I think I'm gonna get back into it, but I'm not going to get back into it as heavy as I was whenever I quit, because I was doing 30 and 40 races a year, but I'm not doing that anymore. So,
well, tell us real quick about the championships. How does it work? How many races is it and whatnot?
So this year it was 6 races this year. There were 2 drops in it, so you had to run 4 of the 6 rounds to be in the points. I wanted to do things a little bit differently, so I limited the entries. So I limited the amount of entries that there were per class. We have no more than 2 heats in the majority of the classes, period. So we begin at 9:00 in the morning and we're done 9:00 at night. It is a 12-hour day of racing. If you run electric, you get AA mains. If you run Nitro, you get 25-minute A mains. It's a good mix of having a longer main and having good quality track time in a reasonable day. Whenever I did the 4 series before, there were times, and we were still running at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. That's murder. It's murder on me. It's murder on the racers. There are racers that are trying to drive home. Nobody likes that. Nobody enjoys that kind of stuff. So I came back with limited entry this year. If you are a participant, you can only run there in 2 classes. That's it. You can run all Nitro if you want to, all electric if you want to, but no more than 2 entries. You can't run a 3rd class. Also, this is something that I learned. I could not believe how much from when I got out in 2017 to 2021, how much more expensive the industry and overall everything had gotten in just those 4 years. So I was like, all right, I'm going to make the series very affordable. $25 for the 1st class, $20 second class. So $45 you're racing for the weekend, no matter what. Well, I didn't realize how expensive things had gotten. So I'm almost at the end of the series. I got 2 races left to go, and I have not made a single dime for myself at all.
People have to understand
all
prices
of the
go
money
up, man.
is going back into the series. Oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
it skipped out there for a minute. So,
No worries.
but I have truly enjoyed the series so much more. Danny Paz, bringing him on, I cannot say enough. I know you already spoke about him. his photography, his speed of putting things and quality that he's putting out so very quickly. You know, we have our TQs put out about the same time that they've wrapped up the TQ. The same for the winter photographies are up just within minutes of them taking the pictures right after they win. There is so much stuff that is going on so quickly that is quality for the product. I did take notes from RCGP. I like the manufacturership points that y'all were doing. I did implemented the exact same thing for the Florida series. You know, manufacturers they invest in racers, from sportsman racers to the pros, to the open guys. You know, they invest in those people. They need recognition. So I thought some more into it. So for our manufacturer championship at the end of the series, every person in every round that contributed to those points of that manufacturer that won will have their name placed on the plaque that is presented and given to that manufacturer. So right now, HB Racing is the top chassis manufacturer. So I've got my list. I keep everything. Every person that contributed every single point. So I'm just going to throw out there, Kayla Espinel contributed 15 points. It'll be on there, Kayla Espinel, 15 points. You know, every person that contributed and every point that they gave will be on that award that'll be presented to HB Racing or whoever the person is that wins that overall.
That's awesome.
We
I like
we also we're also doing ambassador awards. So every round, I choose 2 people from every round. If I see somebody that does something that is outside of the norm to help somebody, boy, they get a lot of clout right there, right off the bat. They are typically going to be our RC ambassadors. So at the end of it, we'll open up voting for a week. And every participant that was in the Florida RC Championships and the point side of it will get to vote on those racers that were chosen from each round to pick an overall winner for an RC ambassador.
I think Tony Braun won that last month, right?
He sure did. Yeah,
I met him at at the Nationals at your track. I pitted next to him the whole week.
Tony had a really good run this round. He got up on the podium there a couple of times, and he was down in pit lane helping other people out, you know, with pit stops when he wasn't racing. You know, when you have a guy that's in pit lane considerably, and that's taking time away from him to do his wrenching and things like that. So that person's sacrificing to help somebody else out, you know, so that kind of stuff. And actually, Tony was a suggestion from another competitor, you know, that caught something that I didn't see that he had done. And that's why he won the ambassador. Brian Eckert also was the second choice on that as well, and Brian just sacrifices a lot. You know, he's so deserving of it. You know, when from this last round.
But that's kind of what makes RC so awesome, is having people like that, and we need that because people don't have fit, man. You know, Nitro is hard to run on your own.
Yep.
And, you know, so it's good to see things like that. It seems like, you know, Florida racing still healthy, probably not as healthy as big as it was probably when I first kind of got into this with
JQ. The 8 scale side is massive.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely big. I was just maybe because I just haven't been there for a while. But I enjoy my time there. I've met so many good people in Florida and enjoyed it. It's always been like the California of the East Coast for me. Like, you know, when I was coming up and seeing all these awesome tracks like Boggy Creek and Mills Pond and all this type of stuff. So I love it. It's lots of rich heritage there in Florida and all that good stuff. And you're part of that as well. So yeah, it's good to see this series happening and you guys putting so much effort back into giving to the racers, because let me tell you something. The reason I wanted Danny to come is because I wanted all this like TQ results and all that type of stuff and all that. I knew he could do that. And you know, that's so hard for me. I can't do that. And to have that like that is,
he puts it together so fast.
I hope he can come do a race with me next year.
But man. And one other thing I'll tell you that I did, you know, every race, especially on local club race levels, something I thought of and I started doing, I started doing TQ, or not, excuse me, not turn marshal awards. So
Mm.
there would be times that we would be short on turn marshals, or I would need turn marshals to marshal for the novice racers or things like that. So every person that volunteered marshal would get their name put in a bucket. So you can marshal as many times you want to, volunteer as many times you want to, and every time you get your name put in a bucket, then I'll compile the next day. I'll compile all those names together, and you get a $50 award, or not award, but prize from our sponsors. So I'll give you a $50 gift certificate, Absolute Hobbies or Beach RC or J Concepts or something along those lines. We give those out to people. Also, we have assigned turn marshal positions in the Florida RC Championships, and I thought about it just kind of last minute at one round. Be like, you know what? It'd be really cool if I throw some prizes because the buckets all have seats on them. So it'd be like if I throw some little giveaways and prizes in those buckets, they'll just.
People
So
run
I
up
did.
there.
I just started putting gifts in the buckets. And this last round, I didn't have anything to put in there. I just didn't. And the guys hold up bucket. He's like, man, what's this bucket's empty, So, they look forward to going out there to volunteer because it's not just sit there and run around for 5 minutes. You just get a little bit of appreciation from a $5 shirt or, from a little tool set or just a fuel bottle or something, we throw in there. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. How many races left, or is it done for the year?
Two races left to go. Yep.
Where would they be?
We have one at Southside that's coming up on Thanksgiving weekend in November, and December 10th at Capital City Raceway in Tallahassee.
Okay. And then obviously you have AMS coming up next month. Fall
Brawl. I have Florida Carpet Championships the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Oh, right.
Yep. I got that one as well. That is going to be huge.
Be big.
Yeah, lots of European racers, very fast. Man, them guys are so fast. So I like it when they come over and get mixed up with the.
Yeah, I love it too. This is actually a 10 scale race that I think Live RC should be there, so I'll be watching that. Real quick before we go, so you are one of the. I always trying to get my dream team of announcers who I would like to get call a race. I wanted to see you, Nick Damon. I kind of want to get Scotty in there, but I think all of you guys would talk too much, so we kind of have somebody because Nick talks a lot. You obviously you go like you're more. I think you call a race. Those guys tell stories too during the races, like what they're doing the video announcing more than anything. But is there any person that you would like to work with as a RD or announcer or your dream team?
Yeah. So Leon McIntosh, when I first got started with in announcing, I was still kind of learning, but had that excitement and drive. So Leon and I would tag team every now and then a little bit on the microphone during mains, and the trade-offs that we would have would be seamless. He could tell whenever I was coming to the end of my sentence, and he would pick it up immediately, either with what I was calling or with another battle that was going on the track. And I missed that. Me and Leon worked very, very, very well together on that. And it was, in a way, it was almost kind of magical how it just flowed, absolutely flowed. And I would love to have that back again. Jeremy Harris, a lot of people don't realize how good of an announcer Jeremy Harris is. Jeremy Harris is very good at race announcing. I would like, I've never announced with Scotty. I think that it would be unbelievable to work with him.
Because he was doing, all right, he was doing the live, was he doing the live RC stuff while you was doing?
He was, yeah, with PNB, yep. Never got to work with him.
If him and Charlie have that symbiote thing that they did it like at the was it at the Nationals or DNC? Where they came in, came in virtually.
Yeah,
I think it was DNC this year. They came in virtually and they just picked it up just like that. But yeah, man, this has been a great chat. I knew it was gonna go over our limit, but that's fine because you've seen a lot of things and you've been involved in a lot of things. So your knowledge and your experience with that is valued. Like just like the stuff about Raw and all that stuff, you bring it from a different perspective. And yeah, I know you say you had your turn, but we honestly need people like you in those positions. So yeah, I'm always, every time I see you, I'm going to say that to you. So don't worry. I guess my last question before I go, for you as an RD, as a person that I would say you're very in tune with the RC community, what do you think about our industry and our sport / hobby now? And what, besides Raw, what are some of the things you would like to see change in our industry?
The majority of our industry is for a disconnect from our normal life. I really wish people, and this even applies to the pro side of it, whenever you're at a non-contingency race, or folks, relax. Nobody is going to put your name on a lunchbox. Nobody is going to recognize you. The greatest line that has ever been told to me, I'll never forget it, by Billy Bruce. Nobody will ever come up to you in a McDonald's, just some stranger, and say, "Hey, may I please have your autograph?" It's not going to happen in the RC industry. Remember that we are not doing this for the glory. We're doing it from the disconnect of our normal lives. Don't get so caught up in the competition side of it that you forget that, hey, this is really for fun. And we do. I've done it. I've absolutely done it. There was a racer just recently at another event, got so caught up in the heat of the battle, things got physical, and then come to find out it wasn't even the person that he got physical with that had the altercation on the track, because he was so caught up in it. It's not worth it. Just let it go. Enjoy the experience and forget the finish. There's so much more to it.
I would actually agree with you there. I see a lot of people taking the competition side too serious. And I say to people all the time, I say, you're fortunate. You say you're fortunate. You live in an area that I have to drive an hour and a half to a track. I say, I don't have a track. How do you like that? And RC can die. It's happened here twice. It's here it's different from America. And I haven't raced in 4 years, really, really, really. So I look forward to racing next year. And I think people just need to understand, hey, you are not going to make all this money in RC. No. You're not going to be a millionaire, well, unless you start with 10. And you just have to enjoy this. I know, coming from a guy like me who takes this very seriously, but I take it seriously on a different, I think I do it on a different level. My thing is more about the pro guys, because that's our professional guys. But the average person out there, if you just, I don't think I get worked up. Right now, the last race I really raced was AMS in 2018, and then I did SMB. And AMS, I was just happy to be in the B-Man or 40 plus. And at SMB, something was wrong with the lap count and it miscounted my laps. It was just a race. I didn't care. I was just like, I'm just happy to be turning laps, because I wasn't able to do it. So I think people have to realize that.
Yeah, this is the only hobby that I know of where you can get personal one-on-one time with the top drivers, as well as compete with them on the exact same track at the exact same time. You don't get that in fishing. You're not going to get that in golf. If you're on the amateur side and a pro-am side of it, you don't get that interaction like you do in RC. Just for people get so hung up on the finish. I got to perform. And I think it kind of comes back to, okay, I'm a sponsored driver. And they put all this pressure on themselves, and people put pressure on those sponsored drivers to perform and to act a certain way. And we're human, we're emotional, and we forget about the experience and get so hung up on the finish.
I agree with you, man. And none of us, the 99% of us percentile that don't get paid for this, our mortgages and our way of life does not depend on our performance on the weekend.
No, if we walked away from it today, our life would continue the same as it always has.
I agree. All right, Lance. Well, this was a great chat. I wish you and Dave and everybody at Race Time good luck at AMS. I'll be watching. We're planning all this coverage of it because we're hoping, a live RC is going to be there. So Max and I are geeking out over it. Yeah. And just because we also think that this is a good step forward. I'm glad you unretired. Okay, I gotta ask: are you cool with Bobby and Jeff now, or?
Yeah. So Bobby and I talked, and
okay,
and we understand. There were a lot of things, and there were some outside influences on that aspect, and again, we forget at times that we get back to that entitlement kind of thing. Well, I'm entitled to this, or I deserve this, and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, Bobby and I, we spoke and have a complete and total understanding. I have a job to do. Bobby has a job to do. I'm not there to tell him how to build tracks, and I feel Bobby also feels the same way. He's not there to tell me how to direct a race. So
awesome.
we understand our limits and our boundaries. As far as the other guy goes, yeah, we'll just move on to the next. Okay.
I get it. I understand. That was hectic. Lance, this has been an absolute awesome chat with you. I'm glad we pushed through it, through blackouts and everything else. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man.
I really enjoyed your outlook on Raw and all that stuff. And I think we're going to have you come back on her, and we're going to have to touch on some of those topics in more depth.
Yeah, there are a lot of things with Roar that it's very easy to change and implement. It's not complicated. Don't make it complicated. It just got to look outside the box a little bit. Okay, what am I not thinking of? Let me talk to somebody else. Let me get their opinion on something. I'm not here to get my back scratched. Let me talk out to that guy that has been critical of me for years and years and years and get his actual thoughts on it. Don't just tell me what the problems are. Tell me what your solution is.
I agree with you. We rant a lot on this podcast, but we also offer solutions. If people use it, it's up to them. But I think people listen sometimes. Lance, I enjoyed this chat. I thoroughly did. Thank you for your time. Good luck with the rest of the year, and hopefully we will see each other in person next year.
Yeah, I hope so too, buddy.
Yeah, and good luck with everything, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Lefty. We'll see you later, buddy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Sun City RC Raceway, the home of El Paso's world-famous motocross-inspired 8-scale off-road track. The Showers family has over 20 years experience creating one of the premier tracks in the USA. Their world-class facility has everything: handicap accessibility, covered beds, skate starts, space for parking RVs, trailers, and lights for night racing. Follow SCRC on Facebook under Sun City RC Raceway for updates, upcoming races, or host your own race.
And I want to say a big thank you and shout out to the SCRC crew, Joey, Christian, and Corbin, for their support of the podcast. They have been one of the highlights of my time in RC, getting to know them and meet them and going to their track. I really enjoyed it. Excuse me?
Not my highlight meeting, Joey.
You two love each other. But I greatly appreciate their support, and we thank them for everything that they have done for RC. So
don't say we.
You shut up, Joseph. Just shut up. You always got to be rude. That's why you two got along, because Joe is rude too, like you. So anywho, this week's SCRC Dawn and Quiet is about, I was listening to the, I almost said the Extra Lap, which is my other favorite podcast with Aiden Burke and Martin and all that. Oh yeah, real quick, before I go, I want to say congratulations to Martin. He is now the executive on the committee on the 10th scale board of the BCRA or BRCA, sorry. So that's good to see. Congratulations, dude. So Joseph, I'm all about, we talk about practice and all this type of stuff and being fair and all that stuff. That's why you're such a big proponent of control practice, because it's fair, right? Yeah. It's fair for everybody. So I was listening to my buddy Joe Zaire, Savage Joe of Ran Out of Talent podcast, and he was up at the J Concepts Midwest Nationals, which I know you're gonna go on. Midwest Turf Nationals. which I know you probably want to go on a rant just about the name. But anyway, this was held at a track called Thunder Road. And apparently it always seems to have some sort of discrepancies at this track. This is the track where Cavallari got penalized for jumping too far. Like they had a piece of tape. Right? I believe where you had to jump. If you jumped over that piece of tape, you jumped too far. And I think Brock Champlin went to this race and ended up getting sick in different years and had to get taken away by the ambulance. So something that came out of this race that I was listening to with Joe. So Friday they had practice, and then after everybody had practice to a certain time. I think it was open practice, so people could go out there and just open practice. And then the track was closed at a certain time, and then people would said to go home. So what happened is the owner of the guy who runs the track or whatever, they duct tape up the only window that you could see into the track, right? And then somebody was actually suspicious about this, I heard, and left a video running or something during the pits, because they said this has happened before at local races. So they wanted to see what happened. Lo and behold, they were caught. People were caught running laps on the track after practice, right? And nobody else could be in there and whatnot, right? And I was talking to people from other people that were at the race, and it's like, yeah, the local stock fast guy or local stock guys were off the pace on Friday in seeding, but on Saturday they were on pace all of a sudden, right? So anywho, I believed, I don't know exactly what happened, but basically they let people go in there and practice after practice was done, right? All right, look, go ahead.
In America, there's no rules.
But this is breeding bad habits. So this is what the guy who owns the track, who I might add, has also gotten hot water for some racist comments he made and got kicked off the J Concepts team last year. So this guy, I don't really know him too well.
What did he do?
I'm not going to say what he said because it was pretty offensive. But he says he came on the post that Joe made and people were talking about this, and he goes, I'm going to nip this in the butt right now. After practice was closed Friday, I was asked by a few out-of-towners and a few locals if they could run a couple of packs since they only ran once all day Friday due to work and getting to the track late. I did the right thing to keep things fair to those who traveled here. I would have done the same for any driver from anywhere that didn't get to run. I am one of the most helpful guys at the track and would help anyone. I appreciate all the drivers who attended, and I am looking forward to another great year. Now quit gossiping like little kids. I am dumbfounded by this response. Like, dumbfounded. Now, Joseph, I've seen a trend where I've had a few people come up and ask me at some of these bigger races. It might be their first time at a race like PNB or the Nationals, and they've asked, can they go on the track after the day of racing's done? And I swear, I might give some people are like, what? No, you can't. But I see where this is coming from. I'm not saying they come from this, but this is cheating. Like, I don't know how any way you can describe it any other way besides it's cheating. Like, but to have an answer like that, I just don't understand what the hell's going on, man. Like, and to be like, yeah, not so nonchalant about it, like it weren't a big deal. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, my brain is, I can't comprehend this. Like, you know what I mean? I like people justify this type of stuff, and I just, okay, it's happened, like it happened or whatever, and even, but guess what? The cream rose to the crop, and the fast guys still won, right? But man, this is breeding really bad habits, man. What is this? What are you teaching these young kids, that it's okay to go cheat? Like, it's okay to, have special privileges that others don't have and all this type of stuff? This is ridiculous. Like, come on. Like, people kick shit. Excuse me. People kicked shit remember when X-Ray did the 234 laps after they changed the track and before the Worlds?
So funny.
Like, but it happened. That it happened. It's just dumbfounded to me. But the response about it, like, is what really kind of just, I said, this is breeding bad habits, but I want to bring something back. This comes back. and people's going to say, Lefty, you're always coming on the federations. This comes back to not having a proper federation that teaches people proper guides and rules to race. But like you said, it's America. There's no real federation. It's a private race, so anything goes. So I don't know what's going on, man. But we can't be allowing this type of stuff to happen, man. It's not fair to others that are racing. Like, you know what I mean?
But
either have control.
Here's the thing, like, I don't really care because I'm not there, you know, and because it's just some fake national race. Like, it's just, there's no rules. So what do you expect? Why, if there are no rules and it's not a real national and it's just some race, then what do you expect? Like, so what? So what? If you're on the track, you can close it and say that only you and your friends can practice the whole week before the race. And then you have the race. You know?
But
because if there are no rules, then there are no rules. Yeah, what's sportsmanship and gentlemanly or whatever, like, what is the right thing to do? Who cares? You know? Like, either do things properly, and if you want to have a race, people are going to care about and travel to, put things down on paper, organize it properly, correctly, fairly. You know?
I'm dumbfounded by the whole thing, man.
If you don't, then don't expect people to care and show up and go abide by whatever rules you make up on the fly.
The issue is that when this becomes the norm,
I don't know, like, why doesn't this happen more? I'm surprised.
Yeah, but what happens is that when these people go to a real race, they have these bad habits, and then they expect the same thing there. And I think it starts at a club level, man. If you're doing things wrong at a club level, you're teaching people how to do things wrong. What are you teaching people?
Yes. Yeah, but so what?
You know what? You're probably right. So what? I guess it doesn't matter. There are no rules. I don't know, man. And
it's not a nationals anyway.
Yeah, but it's a semi-big race, and it's part of a kind of the J Concept series type of thing that they have their races and all. This isn't just like some guy, like a group of people having a club race at a place. If it was a club race, I could understand something like that. Yeah, okay, get in, go a lap, okay. But not noticeably where the people that were slow the day before are now on pace the next day. Like, obviously something's going wrong. Something's going on. And it's just cheating. It's just cheating. And it's unethical.
You know what? I have a great solution. Don't go next year.
Yeah. Or don't have the race during the next year.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's like we're going backwards, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, could you, like, I don't know, man. I think the response was the thing that kind of just got me, like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, yeah, no big deal. Obviously, we're doing things wrong, I guess. They're doing things right. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I know it's a little bit old and older, but is it right? I mean, should people get extra practice? Because, like, and people were like, oh, what if you showed up to Silver State on the day of practice and you missed practice or whatever? I said, I wouldn't be so silly to show up to Silver State on the day of practice. I will be there at least the day before. You know what I mean? If I'm going to these big races. There should be no exceptions.
If you go to a big race, then you go to a big race. Like, you take time to go there.
Exactly.
You know? What the hell?
There's no excuses for this type of behavior, man. It's just unethical and cheating. That's all it comes down to, man. And I just don't. I think it's wrong. You're teaching these young racers bad habits. So when they go to the next race, they're gonna expect the same thing or try and do the same thing or something like that. It's just wrong. Just wrong. Anyway, I heard that on Ran Out of Talent, and it started a big conversation. You know how I like to start things, and I just think we need to nip shit like that in the butt right off the bat. You know what I mean? Unethical, bad race etiquette at races. Joseph, we've been talking for some time now. I think look at him. He's going to start fiddling already. I'm muting your mic, Joseph. Anything you I don't know. Anything else you want to add before we sign out here, Joseph? And I go into my conclusion spiel here.
Yeah, my camera died. I figured
that.
But you know what? I actually remembered something. So you need a new intro, because I listened to one of your podcasts and I realized that the intro really sucks if you listen to this as a podcast, because it starts with like 20 seconds of engine noise.
Yeah.
You need to redo that shit.
Don't worry. We are doing NNRC 2.0 is coming in 2022. We're already on the whole. We're already planning a new
Way
intro.
ahead of me.
Shorter, new intro. Don't worry. You ain't the first person to tell me that they don't like it. So, yeah, remember everybody, NNRC 2.0 is coming next year. We're gonna be bigger and better and badder. That's the plan. I think that's it, Joseph. Nothing else to say today. Thank you for your time, Joseph. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to getting my Mayako car. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Thank you to Lance Macdonald for its time. I want to wish everybody that's going to AMS, and if you're on the fence of going to AMS, forget about the $150. Forget about your race fees. Think about the thousands of dollars you spend on RC stuff, and $150 really isn't much. And think about the time and the fun that you can have at this race and be comfortable. We will, Max and I, maybe Joseph might join us. I know Kevin might join us. We're going to be doing like daily recaps of live next week of AMS, because we expect the coverage to be great. And this is the last big race of the year. And if you really look at it, I'm writing a blog about this. We have had one of the best 8-scale seasons in America, because Europe didn't race as much. We've had in a long time. Yeah, we'll be covering that. And remember, also check out our Discord. We'll put a link in the written description of that. Invisible Speed, how's that going, Joseph? Are you going to get busy finishing up the videos and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I have a bunch of videos that need to be finished, and the 15th of this month we start that guided follow through with all the people. And actually, I'll be honest with you, the book was a massive success. It's still selling, but the course hasn't really sold that much. It's kind of been dead. So I'm not very happy about that, because it was so much work.
It takes time.
So
it takes time.
We need some course sales. That's for sure. So
yeah, maybe we'll do a course giveaway for Christmas too.
Yeah, we have some promotions that are going to happen here, because the thing is that it's going to take some time. Yes, I'm working with Alexander Hagberg on road stuff, and he got the video guy who does the X-ray stuff. Mm-hmm. So I actually hired him for 3 or 4 days, was it? And they filmed stuff at the Hoodie Arena. So a full build of a 12 scale, full build of the new touring car, and the basic setup stuff and driving, all that stuff, right? And I need to edit that all together. And then we are going to, beginning of next year, release an on-road update. So electric on-road to start with. So this Invisible Speed thing, it will be a massive thing.
Living organism.
Day, right? Yeah, it's like all the different classes, different top drivers will be involved. And there will be a basic one and then the full course. It will be a really, really good source of information. It's just that it takes so much time and effort, and also it costs a lot of money to pay all these people to do stuff. That's why I really need to get some sales now, so I feel like, oh yeah, it's going to be worth it,
Yeah. Well,
but yeah. So there's big plans for that.
Yeah, I'll put a link for Invisible Speed in the podcast description. I'm still doing the course. I kind of stopped. I got busy, but
one thing also about the course, which will be good, is the Discord, because the people on there will be the right kind of people. So there will be those who are looking to learn, and those who already have a lot of knowledge but just want to learn more. So, for example, in the Mayako Discord and on the No Name RC podcast Discord, there's already sort of good discussions about cars and racing and everything. So eventually on Invisible Speed, the same thing will happen once we have more people on there and we start being active on there. So it will be a really good resource. You could be at a race, for example, and you can show some live video or pictures or something, and between heats, and just post, what should I do? I need this. This is the problem. Or post a short video of someone filming your run, and then there'll be people there who can help you. Like, oh, I think you should try a harder rear anti-roll bar. That's going to help in this section and blah, blah, So this is the kind of community that it is going to be. And I really believe that it's going to be something great.
Yeah,
so
I'm in love with Discord. I'm loving it. So I'm just upset that it took me so long to get hip to it. So yeah, check out invisiblespeed.net, everybody. We'll probably do maybe a giveaway or two of those for our Christmas show coming up in December. Yeah, good stuff, Joseph. Great talking to you, catching up with you. I know you gotta go, so thank you for your time. Thank you to all of the NNRC squad around the world. We can't do this without you guys. It's amazing that I still can't believe I talk to so many people on a daily basis from all over the world, and I appreciate you guys showing the NNRC some love. We love you guys back. We can't do it without you. Shout out to the patrons of the NNRC. Those are the guys who go the extra mile and help me stay focused and do what I gotta do. They help pay for the new inverter that I got in there, so I can have 24 as long as the batteries last. When the electricity goes off, I have electricity. And man, we can't do it without you guys. If you wish to be a patron, you can. You can follow the link in the written description. And of course, man, we have to say thank you to our awesome sponsors. And I have to say this: if you think that this is a platform that you want to use for your company next year, hit us up. We only have limited spaces left, so we're looking for them. And yeah, we're going to help promote your product. And if people didn't know about your product before, they will know about it after you've advertised with us. I want to say thank you to Mayako, TNR Fuels, Beach RC, High Tech RCD, Tekno RC, Lugs Racing Tires, Sun City RC Raceway, Donathan's RC, Racecraft USA, RCGP, Papa Willie's Traction Tonic, House of RC, JQSM. Man, I can't thank these sponsors more. I appreciate it, and you guys show them some love. There are coupon codes, there is affiliate links. We greatly appreciate anything that you guys can do, showing the sponsors some love. Man, thank you guys for listening. I had a good time talking this today, and I'm looking forward to 2022, Joseph. I'm really looking forward to 2022, and yeah, hanging out with you here in probably a month or so, or 2 months when you get down.
Yeah,
here.
I'll be honest. I'm actually more excited for a new year than in a very long time.
Yeah, I am too. I'm excited to get back to actually doing something that looks like racing, because I ain't good.
And guess what? One of the reasons I'm sort of exceptionally busy this past however long is because I really want to be in that position where I'm going to prove you wrong.
No.
Yes, it's going to happen. I'm going to be in a position where I can spend more time developing the car, going to the track, also practicing driving. I'm going to get some result that just shuts you up forever.
Well, I am not fearful of that one bit. But if it does happen, you know what? I want you to shut me up. Please do. I'll be the first one to come up and shake. I'll be the first one up to give you a big hug.
I want to go into next year not having to do so much and be a jack of all trades. I want to be really good at very narrow range of things instead. That's my goal.
I would say that is a great goal to have, because you definitely do too much. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Remember, share, like, follow us on YouTube, all that type of stuff. Leave reviews if you don't like it. If you like it, curse us out. I don't care. Praise us, whatever, just leave some reviews. It helps put us out there in the whole stratosphere and the whole algorithms, and show us some love, man. We love it. We love you guys, man, and we love RC, and we're here to make RC better and more exciting for everybody. So with that said, it's time to say nitrous to glory, Ebuggy pays the bills. If you ain't grinding and sliding, Lefty and Beaker, we're out.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to the No Name RC podcast. We greatly appreciate all the support and love from you, the listeners. Without all of you, none of this is possible. Special thanks to our patrons on Patreon. If you wish to support the podcast further, you can at patreon.com/NNRC podcast. As a patron, you will receive early releases, special content, and patron-only giveaways. Also, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and our website, www.nnrcpodcast.com. Remember, Nitro is the glory, but Ebuggy pays the bills. If you aren't having fun, it doesn't make sense. And if you ain't grinding, you're sliding. Lefty out. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory. Nitro is the glory.
That wasn't so bad.